戦争は変わった。一つの時代が終わり、俺たちの戦争は終わった。
War has changed. It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines. War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine. War has changed. Verified soldiers carry algorithmic arms, manipulate social influence, AI enhance and regulate their timelines. Memetic control, information control, emotion control, battlefield control. Everything is monitored and kept under control. War has changed. The age of deterrence has become the age of control, all in the name of averting catastrophe from weapons of mass destruction. And he who controls the battlefield controls history. War has changed. And when the battlefield is under total control, war becomes routine.
Think outside the cage.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is December 29th, 2025. We are live to tape on episode number 903. And today, Silver Serpents and razzle the dang, ding dang, forget the what? Signing on from off the great razzle tazzle. It's been a long holiday. Yeah.
Too much eggnog.
Yeah.
My name is Gonz, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films, author of Archetypalism, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. It's Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
And there's a very special birthday today, Basil, according to the Canary Cry calendar. Happy birthday to... Albert Pike, author of Morals and Dogma, the ancient and accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry.
Well,
Yes,
happy
he's the
birthday,
one that
Albert.
happy birthday. Allegedly wrote a letter about World War III and how, the three monotheistic religions are going to all fight against each other and all that stuff. The whole
How
agenda.
old would Albert be today?
I don't know.
We know. Does it have the year he was born on the calendar?
Let's see.
Gotta know how many.
1889.
Gotta know how many
1889.
candles to put on his cake here.
216.
216. He's 216 years young. Wow. Well, happy birthday, Albert. I don't know if I want to go into this, but there was I think it was Sam Tripoli. Sam Tripoli on the Tinfoil Hat podcast recently had an alleged 32nd degree Freemason on the show to come on and dispel all the rumors that everybody has about Freemasonry. And he did it very effectively. And one thing that he said was that, Albert Pike was just a guy, he's just a guy. He wasn't very important. He's just some guy. So
one could argue most people in history are just guys and gals, other than
happy birthday to just some guy, Albert Pike.
Some guy who wrote the blueprint for the Freemasonic agenda for the last couple hundred years.
Speaking of which, Gonz, this is an incredible miracle of us being simpatico. I added a link to the front of the document here, just as a little update to the previous story that we covered. And this is a tweet from the Metropolitan Police X account. This is the police force in London, I believe.
Right. We covered the
And-
story a couple episodes ago about
That's
how they're trying to get Freemasons to dox themselves in the
Well,
police force or something, right?
it's kind of
so the
spoken
monk-
like a Freemason apologist, Gonzo, but
Oh,
the attention has gotten so high, but just because of everything going on, in regards to crime and immigration and police enforcement,
Sure.
and the two, I think they call it what do they call it? 2-tier justice system over there. And this is being posted from the Metropolitan Police Force, says, "We will robustly defend our decision to require officers and staff to declare if they are Freemasons. Our response to the decision made by the Grand Lodge of England to seek an injunction blocking the implementation of the policy is below." And here's a screenshot of their declaration here. So apparently the Grand Freemasonic Lodge of England made the decision to seek, a court injunction to stop the police force from requiring Freemason officers to declare themselves. Here's the statement here. 2/3 of officers and staff surveyed agreed that this policy was needed. We think the majority of the public would also agree. That's an interesting statement because I think that tells us just about how many metropolitan policemen are in the Freemasons. The other 1/3, probably. There have been calls going back a number of years for the role of Freemasonry in policing to be properly addressed, including as a recommendation in the report of the Daniel Morgan Independent Panel. We strongly believe that failing to act on these calls would further damage trust, not only among the public, but also other officers and staff. Victims should be able to know that when they report allegations to us, the officers investigating have been transparent about any potential conflicts of interest. And this goes back to a murder trial from the 80s that had all sorts of weird, every time the investigators turned around, there was like another connection to Freemasonry, and there was all sorts of shenanigans trying to protect the killer there. Let's see here. Similarly, officers and staff should be able to know that when they report wrongdoing by colleagues, it will be investigated on its own merits with no opportunity for secret loyalties to play any part. We must prioritize the maintenance of vital trust and confidence over any organization's desire to maintain secrecy. So they're going for it. They're maintaining it. Now, you got to be sneaky. You got to be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves, because it very well could be some controlled opposition, Gons. The Freemasons want us to think that the police precinct there in London is fighting the good fight for transparency against secret societies. Who knows? But it was an interesting update.
That is very interesting. Yeah, we'll see how.
And on Albert Pike's birthday, I mean, is it a coincidence that this long-standing, years-long, thing going on, they just happened to post a declaration of their intentions to make Freemasons declare themselves on Albert Pike's birthday, 216. Sweet 216.
Sweet 216. Don't be afraid, Freemasons. You will be loved by all for your transparency.
Yes, I mean, it's about time. Everybody loves the Freemasons. They need to come out so we can clap for them.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. There's some breaking news here at the top of the show.
Fantastic. Speaking of some kind of breaking news, well, there's lots of things breaking for sure, but real quickly as we go into this first story. Oh, jingle.
$100 billion. I don't have any money.
The U.S. debt clock. I was made aware of this. I think it was Sir Ike that sent me a text. There's a new section in the U.S. debtclock.org website, the website that shows how much debt we're in the United States.
Yeah.
And it's a section titled DeFi Bankless Future, for Decentralized Finance Bankless Future. And so far, there's $967 billion of USA federal interest savings per year. That's $8,613 per adult, according to this thing. So We're moving into a decentralized financial bankless future. Basil, are you ready for the bankless future?
Yeah, that's cryptocurrency for those who need a translation.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not.
Guns, I don't need your pedantism and this part of the holidays, okay? You don't be pedantic. We're 2 days away from the new year.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that guy I was trying to call earlier. Yeah, okay. Well, how much was that number? What do you tie this as? I don't see it on the screen. The thing with this debt clock is there's so many little numbers flashing around of all different colors.
Yeah.
It's impossible to see what
it's right. It's right in the middle in the gold there. DeFi bankless future.
DeFi bankless future. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
look at all that
new category. Yeah, look at all that crypto going on. Speaking of which, I know we're not allowed to talk charts. So Basil, what is this chart? What chart do you think this is? This big red candle going down.
It's Fartcoin.
It is Fartcoin. It's not the coin I was trying to show you. This is the one I was trying to show you. This huge green candle going straight up.
Wow.
What is it? It is silver. Silver. Something is happening. At the beginning of the year.
Before you go in, I do want to draw attention to a cranky chatter who says, "Why are you even broadcasting the debt clock, the currency? These things won't last. You are better than this." Well, here's something that will last. It's precious metals. It'll last forever.
Metals will. Gold, God's money, silver,
money, baby.
Part of hey, listen, the New Jerusalem is going to have streets of gold. Okay, so it's going to be around. Great, yeah. I'm glad the Grumpies are out today. It's about time. At the beginning of the year, Basil, you had a take that I think a lot of us that are here on this show shared, which is that a year from now, and you said this maybe January or February of this year, you said by the time we get to January, February, March of 2026. The world will look completely different. And the silver price moonshotting is actually a big, I think this is one of the biggest indicators that your thesis has been correct, because silver has been suppressed as far as price for decades. I mean, decades and decades. And part of it, the logic that we've heard is that, hey, silver is in a lot of our technology. It's in a lot of our weapons. We can't have silver prices be actual, a fair value, because it would just be way too expensive to have all these different things like weapons and electronics would be out of control. So got to suppress the price of silver.
Gold is very similar in that way.
Yes. So in that context, obviously gold has been going up in price a lot over this past year, but silver just had this crazy weekend where it went from like $50 something to this month. It over the weekend, it hit 83, which is a huge amount for silver. I mean, I think it got to like the second largest asset in the world behind gold for a little bit. It got, smashed after today. But according to Bloomberg here, the headline, gold, silver plunge as traders book profit from record rallies. And all the silver bugs are coming out. It's pretty funny because early on when I started doing truth type work, I obviously ran into a lot of gold bugs and silver bugs, because those were the people calling out the Federal Reserve. They were the ones calling out fiat currency. They were the ones saying, hey, our monetary system is broken. Look at 2008. Look what's going on. And it had only been a couple years since 2008, the crash. So people were looking for an alternative. People were looking for ways to hedge against the financial system that clearly had some issues after 2008. And a lot of people found gold and silver to be that safe haven, or at the very least, a hedge against the monetary systems of the world. And, the crypto bros picked up that narrative over the decade of the 2010s. And a lot of the narratives that were shared from gold and silver bugs were adopted by crypto bros. And then, the crypto bros and the precious metals people have been debating what's better for the last 10 years. A little internal fighting going on. But the gold and silver bugs had their day over the weekend when silver finally pumped 10%, which is, with crypto, it's not a lot, but when it comes to a silver market that is, $3.5–4 trillion of market cap, it's a big deal when there's that much liquidity entering into an asset in the span of a couple days. I think it was the day after Christmas when it started pumping, and it lasted through the weekend. And so people are trying to figure out what is going on here. And we don't have to read this article, but I think it's indicative, Basil, of your thesis that something is wrong. Something is going on. Why are precious metals skyrocketing right now?
Yeah,
I think it has to do with the war. It's got resources, all the stuff we've been covering. It's sort of the backdrop, the foundation to some of that. So,
well, and that's the thing. For decades and even maybe hundreds, maybe even thousands of years, of course, gold, silver, these things have been valuable, most of the time used as money. When they're not used as money, they've been very stable and growing in relation to their fiat the whole thing, but very stable, growing almost always, but very slowly, very conservative financial thing if you're that kind of person. So this year, first, to see gold blow up as much as it did in 1 year, I would say, I mean, look, I didn't look up the chart, but it's definitely the only time that's happened in our lifetime. I would expect it maybe the only time that's happened since at least 1913.
There's been a few different pumps and dumps over the decades.
40%'s a lot though, but yeah,
it is a lot.
And same with silver. Silver is this sort of lagging. It took all year for gold to get the increase that silver basically got in a weekend, which is very impressive. Now silver's been moving for a month or so, but so even the volatility at all, the fact it's moving, both gold and silver moving so fast at all, shows some serious shakiness, which we're all very aware of here. This is taking none of us by surprise, of course.
This is like the thesis coming true about the gold and silver bugs were right for 50. It just took 15 years, It just
I was
took a
thinking
little
about
while.
that. Yeah, the anywho, but yeah, okay. So what's the
so there's a few things to cover with this. So Elon Musk came out and said this is not good. According to QZ, that's Quartz.com, Elon Musk on edge. He's on edge, Basil, as silver hits record high. Prices are soaring just as China moves to restrict exports, prompting fresh worries about supply of the metal for industrial use. And I think that's a big part of it. I would not be surprised if the United States does the same coming up here shortly. Perhaps it may not be gold or silver right away, but I can picture Trump, with all the tariff stuff going on this year, and I guess a run for gold and silver and other metals and just assets to build the I almost said something else, but I think it's actually I think it's right, to build the new world order, Basil. We really need the great reset. We need a financial reset. We need an asset redistribution. We need all the materials to build the technium, the new world order, the new world order anyway, not the old one that kind of failed. So it makes sense. I can picture Trump putting restrictions on exports for things like platinum or palladium or antimony, maybe in the future, stuff like that. So I think this is going to be it's setting up 2026 to be a absolutely fascinating, shaky year when it comes to everything, because if the underlying, what it shows with some of this gold stuff, and there's a lot of rumors out there, I don't know what's true, so I'm not going to necessarily say that I know what's going on, but one of the rumors was, hey, a bank crashed out over the weekend, a bank that's been suppressing the price of silver. They got margin called, and basically they collapsed basically, and we're going to find out about it this week. And that was the big rumor of the weekend. But then some other analysts came out and said, well, wait a minute, JP Morgan, all these big banks, they've been long silver, which means they thought the price was going to go up since December. So that would mean that they knew that this pump was coming, which that doesn't surprise me. Actually, that makes more sense to me, that they were positioning themselves ready to pump it and then maybe dump it and then, get all the people either buying the top or selling their silver to the institutions because they're trying to grab all the supply, off the
Yeah,
people's
well,
hands.
the scary part about that was over the weekend, and again, nobody knows exactly what bank is doing any of this.
Yes. Yeah.
But there was the largest withdrawal from the federal repo facility, which is like emergency cash available to banks at a moment's notice if they needed to stay liquid, which was created after the 2008 financial crash and was basically not used at all until this year. And the biggest withdrawal just happened this weekend, $38 billion over in one night.
Right.
Now, you can't really know which bank it was. People suspect it may be JP Morgan, but happened at the same time as the silver crash. And, I think you referred to it. I don't know if we know which bank it was, but people are saying JP Morgan. That some bank got liquidated at like 2 a.m. of their silver futures or whatever.
It would also make sense that perhaps there are foreign adversaries that are trying to destroy the U.S. markets in a sense and pumping some massive amounts of capital into silver to try to eliminate some of the people that are suppressing the price in the West. Who knows? But here is the one thing that is for certain here when you look at something like this is that the confidence of the United States dollar is waning rapidly around the world. I mean, this has been trending for a few years now, but this is it'll be interesting to see how the Trump administration reacts to this. And I don't even know if he said anything about it today, but it's just one of those things that we should pay attention to because it's it is sort of the backdrop of all of the world's economic systems. And for people to fly and flood back into hard assets like gold and silver and metals, it suggests that there is a transition taking place worldwide at a fundamental level. And, that's been part of the game the whole time. So it's not, it's not a surprise to us.
Look in our document here, Gons, of course, there was big news. I think it was CNN partnered with Polymarket for official news, data. Polymarket Money just posted. I put the link.
Yep, I see here.
Just in, odds of a U.S. bank failure spiked to 71% on reports that a, quote, systematically important bank collapsed at 2:47 a.m. Sunday. Legit or FUD? Fear, uncertainty, or doubt? And you have here the betting odds for a bank crashing in, I don't know exactly.
By January 31st.
U.S. bank failure by January 31st. Jumped up from about 11 or 12% up to 71%.
Yeah, but the volume is only $863.
People ask, how does the regular guy make money when the system is crashing? And Polymarket, not an advertiser, but some people who got in at 10% for a bank failure and now it's at 71, they're gonna okay. They're gonna
with the volume of $863, this is the guy who put in $20 has 50 now. Good for you.
Right.
So there's another aspect to this that I want to point out, and that is at least on X. I don't know if, and I think on YouTube a little bit too. There is an account that is going viral that people are mentioning. And this account is called Jon AG, Jon AG. AG stands for Asian guy. Okay. So his account here has 21,000 followers. He's following one account. And the description of his bio, it says educational content only. This reflects my personal opinions and market analysis and is not financial advice. Okay, great. He joined in December of 2024. Now, you see the Asian guy. Yeah, this is AI. This is an AI. And what this AI is doing is publishing videos that are 28 minutes long, 48 minutes. I mean, like these long breakdowns of the financial markets and specifically with the silver gold situation. And people are freaking out because the account's been fairly accurate as far as like, hey, it's going to crash. Hey, it's going to pump. And people have been, they're starting to pay attention to this AI account, which is like the most 2025, 2026 thing that silver has this crazy pump over the weekend, and all everyone can talk about is this AI account that's publishing these long analysis videos of the markets and being somewhat accurate and predicting what's going to happen. I mean, I don't. Here's a little taste of what this sounds like. So this is again. I mean, if you're just scrolling through, if you're a boomer, you may not even realize this is AI because it's done fairly well. But this is a 29-minute video, ladies and gentlemen. The Sunday night alert: Russia and China are prepared. And here's just a few seconds of him talking.
Notifications. Because what you're about to learn is not financial advice, but it is information that could be absolutely critical for your future. Let me paint you a picture of what's really happening on the global stage right now. For decades, the United States dollar has been the king of the financial world. It's been the reserve currency, the safe haven, the backbone of international trade. But here's what most Americans don't realize.
Okay.
That dominance
So, yeah, there you go. There you go. They're saying stuff that we always say. Hey, our jobs are in jeopardy, Basil. If these AI,
no way.
bots are sort of, I know.
The problem with it, with the AI, not that this is an AI segment, the problem with it is he doesn't have an accent. He has just a totally straight American accent. That's not fun. Nobody likes that. And
it would be racist if it was.
He's very monotone. He's like very monotone. Whereas when a human is doing videos on the, on the economy, they go like, everything's crashing and I'm going to tell you what's going on and how to protect yourself during this apocalypse, right? That's what a real human YouTuber would do. This is way too calm. Thank you, Asian guy. And we, of course, have known for a long time that AI, both in its intelligence, AI in its ability to replicate human behavior, and AI in its embodied form are coming soon. And, the dead internet theory, I'm gonna say that dead internet theory obviously is true. And dead internet theory is also going to become, it's anti-robot. You can't say it's dead internet theory because it's filled with AI, our beautiful artificial brothers who are here to live side by side with us. And to call them to call them dead or not alive is racist. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, Gons. It's not about truth. It's about feelings.
I was going to say there's a whole new understanding for our generation. Ephesians 6, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. For centuries, millennia, it's like, yes, we are in the spiritual battle. But I can see our generation, our children's generation, take that verse and be like, yes, these bots and these AI talking heads, we are battling them constantly. We must overtake them. Find the computers with the algos. We must mess up their code or something.
Funny, just a funny post. I should have grabbed it. I didn't, but there was, it's probably not, it's obviously not real, but there was a job posting for, and let's see, kill switch engineer.
I saw that. Yeah, I did see that. People thought that was real too.
$300,000 to $500,000 per year about the role. Listen, we just need someone to stand by the servers all day and unplug them if this thing turns on us. You'll receive extensive training on, quote, the code word, which we will shout if ChatGPT goes off the deep end and starts overthrowing countries. What we expect you to be patient, know how to unplug things, bonus points if you can throw a bucket of water on the servers too, just in case, and be excited about OpenAI's approach to research. Woo!
I think we're going to see and I've talked about this before with like art and going back to like, crafts and things that are real for like real artists. I think that'll happen over the next decade or so. But I also think this split of online versus on-chain will become much more prevalent. We're already starting to see it, but it'll become more prevalent. And not just that, but also just in real life stuff. Like we haven't talked about meetups in a few weeks, and I don't know if there's been a meetup, the Canary Cry meetup, in a little while. But man, they're so important because it's just how we're going to be able to verify each other's existence is like meeting in person. People are going to value meeting people in person again, where we lost a lot of that during COVID and leading up to COVID, but especially during COVID, we lost that sort of intimacy when it comes to human beings spending time together, not through a computer screen. And so I'm excited about that, Basil. I want to do more meetups and do some events and stuff because I think it's important for my sanity and my humanity to connect with other people and stay sort of grounded, because otherwise we're just going to be we're going to be yelling at Jon the Asian guy, or like telling our friends about Jon the Asian guy, and then getting deceived, getting led astray because Jon the Asian guy provided some financial advice that he says is not financial advice, but you take it anyway because he's never been wrong, and then you get rugged out, and now you're living.
All
in
right,
the streets.
I'm breaking away from Jon the Asian guy.
Okay.
But AI is still on the run, and Trump was chatting about it. Let's boot up that FLIPPY update, Gons.
FLIPPY update.
It's a FLIPPY update.
FLIPPY update.
Do you want fries with that?
We got to get that video graphic for FLIPPY update put on your board
Is it
there.
on there?
Well, we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, here it is.
FLIPPY update.
Do you want fries with that?
Yay. All right. So FLIPPY is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about FLIPPY as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's FLIPPY update, we're going to start out with a clip from Trump himself, feeling real good about robots.
This is Trump.
We will launch a new age. You can have robots, but you're going to have to get somebody to start those robots, and you're going to have to improve the robots. But we're going to have robotic factories plus manpower. So we're going to have enough. We're going to need the help of robots and other forms of, I guess you could say, employment. We're going to be employing a lot of artificial things, but the beauty is we're going to have more jobs than we've ever had. Just so you can have robots.
Okay.
Don't worry. The robots are taking all your jobs, but we're going to have more jobs than we've ever had. So it'll balance out. I get it.
It's funny how he put himself into a corner there. He had to stop for a second because he's like, humans, robots, and well, a lot of artificial things. We're going to employ a lot of artificial things. It's like, other than humans and robots, what else is there to employ?
Yeah, but
AI.
it's part of Trump's skill set here where he actually can catch those things in the moment.
Yeah.
Say something, like divert his
Like
speech.
Teflon.
All of his
Yeah.
talking is, contemporaneous. He doesn't. Most of the time, things like this, he's not reading off of a screen. But yeah, I mean, that if that's not the current dilemma of really the entire planet's economic shift here, for Trump especially, it clues in with the immigration thing, because this is not to get too intense on it, because we got to talk about robots here in a second, but one of the very legit, I mean, it's factually true that if deportations continue at 2 million a year, there's a lot of labor disappearing, and you're gonna need robots. That's why we've been following FLIPPY for so long. The fruit picking robots, the agricultural robots, even
Cleaning
the
toilets robot,
robots, the construction robots, just robots all around the world. And it's part of the sort of Hegelian dialectic, the problem, reaction, solution for people on the right, or somebody kind of clued into the current sort of conservative technocracy. And that's why it has to, for conservatives to take the reins here, it has to be hand in hand with technocracy, because you can't re-immigrate 2 million people a year and expect Americans, mostly younger Americans, to flood in and sort of take those jobs, because the deportations are of, and this is what the left doesn't like to admit, the deportations are of a sort of slave class. They say it themselves. You know, that, oh, we need someone to pick our fruit and clean our toilets for $7, you know, an hour. It's like, okay, so you like immigrants because they're slaves. Great. And so if you're going to get rid of the slave class, you got to replace it with a new slave class. And that's where FLIPPY comes in. But so for Trump specifically, and conservatism has to go hand in hand with, you know, the polite way to phrase it would be, you know, technocracy or technocrats. The more inflammatory way to say it would be techno-fascism, which, you know, hey, you really can't have a population of robots using free will to find their own jobs. Even if the fascism part is just the fact that we have an automated slave class instead of a, you know, a human one with free will, the techno-fascists will rule the day. But on the other hand, speaking, yes,
I was just going to mention how one of the main components in creating robots, especially because robots have to be able to sustain a certain level of, you know, being on for a long time, is silver. Silver is it's not a massive component, but it is an important component in robotics when it comes to certain parts of it. So now, you know, if the robots are going to be made with silver, they're going to be more valuable. You know, they're not just going to be. It's not going to just be pretty metals and jewelry or something. It's the actual robots themselves will be worth whatever the silver is worth.
Yeah, melt them down. We're going to have the robo scavengers, you know, who don't participate in the digital ID one world government, and they kidnap robots to melt them down for silver coinage.
Right. I mean, think about the discrimination of that. Like, oh, you melted down the silver, you evil person melting down the robots for the silver.
You're terrorists. It would be like, you know, wearing a silver necklace will be like wearing human entrails around your neck. Okay, so back to it. We mentioned, or Trump mentioned, and this is gonna, trust me, we're gonna come full circle. It's all gonna make sense in a minute. But of course, the other side of the robots are taking our jobs has always been, we'll need people to program the robots. We'll need people to charge the robots. We'll need people to maintenance the robots. So there will be more jobs than ever, as if robots can't do that either to themselves or to other robots. But speaking of other techno-fascist states, we got this coming from International Business Times. China deploys robots to patrol border crossings as embodied AI goes public. Embodied AI, long-term Canarians will remember as the term that we either discovered or coined ourselves back in like 2016. Yes,
nobody said embodied AI before. I mean, I know we did.
From us, I'm telling you.
Did we coin the phrase?
We coined the phrase. We did this at least almost 10 years ago, because, you know, we focused on the robot arms, but they need a soul, and that's where AI comes in. It's embodied AI. All right. China to deploy humanoid robots to assist officials in border patrol duties as part of a broader robotics push in what would be a step towards the concept of embodied artificial intelligence. China is set to deploy humanoid robots to border crossings that it shares with Vietnam. The humanoid robots are expected to patrol the border frontier as well as do inspections. And this is the part they're kind of walking this very interesting line with this story. I read a few different versions of the article. And they'll talk a lot about the robots working at the border crossings, right? But there's also patrolling the border frontier, which is robots walking back and forth on the border. For totally fine purposes.
You know, Basil, I was my brother-in-law just took our family, and I would never go on our own. This is why my brother-in-law does this every few years. He took us to Disneyland, so we got to go to Disneyland and kind of do our thing. Which, by the way, this was a couple weeks ago now, so it was
cool.
Yeah. And first of all, a bunch of rides broke down. I don't remember that many rides breaking down in the past. But you go to the Star Wars area, they got the new Star Wars section or whatever, and you're walking around and you got all these people dressed up as Star Wars characters, and they, there's some stormtroopers that come by and interrogate you and like, ask you for your passport and stuff like that. But there's also these patrol robots. They're kind of like R2s, R2D2, but you know how sometimes they have those other robots that aren't R2D2. So I ran into one of those, and yeah, it was like walking around. It was like coming at me and like, kind of looking at me and like going around me and making noises that I was supposed to understand or something. I kind of played along because it was fun, but was that foreshadowing the border of China right there in Disneyland? He's just getting conditioned to be interrogated by these robots right at the border.
Yeah, totally. But even worse though, these ones are humanoid, not a little trash.
Humanoid. Yeah,
they're controlled by a teenager in the back
it's
room.
More like a stormtrooper coming up to you going, "Hey, where are your papers?" or whatever.
China is expected to deploy swaths of humanoid robots to the busy border frontier that it shares with Vietnam. The robots are set to perform border patrol and inspection duties. This marks a step in the concept of embodied intelligence being used in the real world in another effort in public security. It's all about public security.
What happened to artificial? Why is it embodied artificial
That's what I'm
earlier,
telling you, baby.
And then second paragraph, it's embodied aren't we embodied intelligences?
It's no longer artificial intelligence. And that's the exact thing. Long-term Flippy update listeners will know that it's never about the robot. Yeah. It's about your mind, man. It's about your heart. It's about getting you to accept the robots into your life and into your heart. And yes, replacing this phrase artificial intelligence with embodied intelligence, which yes, you could call humans embodied intelligence, is part of the sort of social justice, social engineering to, even with the language that we use, convince our brains that they are not second-class citizens. They are not machines. They are embodied intelligence, just like us. So show them your papers when you try to cross the border. It goes into the particular robot as kind of a bunch of boring robot stuff. It looks like Optimus. Yeah, it looks like Optimus. Now, here's one of the things. Let me see. I'm going to have to Control F. Get me there. If you want to Control F to the word battery, it says, what is the Walker 2 S2? And this is the name of the robot. The Walker S2 is described. It's described, Gons, as a full-size humanoid robot and is designed to navigate the spaces made for humans. The robot can autonomously swap its batteries without any human assistance and operate with minimal downtime. There are cameras, depth sensors, and force feedbacks in their joints to help the robot monitor their surrounding movements. So this humanoid robot, I mean, this is not creating any jobs. They don't even need somebody to change the batteries or charge the robot. It does it itself, baby, which is going to be what you need when you need like a full techno-fascist border patrol system. I was unaware that there was such border problems between Vietnam and China. At first, I thought, well, that's weird. Why do all these Vietnamese want to get into communist China? And then it dawned on me, it's probably more to keep the Chinese in China.
That's what I'm saying. They were trying to get it. That's the joke with the wall, the Trump's wall, right?
Well, exactly.
To keep out the illegal immigrants, but also, a lot of the Democrats are like, oh, it's to keep us in.
I mean, even libertarians, they're saying this walls are to keep things in. And it's funny because that's also one of the sort of conspiracy theories around the Great Wall of China, because there's parts of the Great Wall of China where the ramparts, the sort of defensive architecture on the wall, faces in towards China and not out towards what would be Mongolia. So it's like, why is this wall here with its defensive posture facing in towards China? So anywho, there you go. They're gonna get these now humanoids seem very, what's the word, competent humanoid robots. They look very much like Optimus, Elon's robot. You could see, oh, you're playing the video there. Yes, they're marching themselves like stormtroopers.
They look like militant stormtroopers, something. Yeah, very
into
organized
cargo containers. They march themselves into cargo containers, to ship out, to deploy on the front, the Western front. Okay, there you go. That's your Flippy update for the day. Watch out, folks. Keep an eye for that embodied intelligence, and don't let them convince you. Don't use the phrase, because that's how they get you.
All right. Okay, well, we're going to talk a little bit more of Trump.
They love killing. I am innocent. Innocent. They're coming after me.
And our friends from Israel, or a friend
Zionist
from Israel, his name is, well, we call him Bibi. Bibi Netanyahu and Trump did a public thing today. They were out there. They were making a whole bunch of announcements. I have a series of clips here that were all shared over the timeline as people clipped this press conference with Trump and Bibi standing next to one another. And this first one is Trump talking about pardoning Bibi Netanyahu. Well, I can't hear the question.
I can't hear anything.
And it's just,
Pardon? I think you will. How do you not? He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the president, and it's on. I mean, he tells me it's on its way. You can't do better than that, right?
So this is talking about Bibi under, I believe it was the United Nations, basically calling him a war criminal, and how he deserves jail and worse and all that kind of stuff. And of course, this is coming a lot from the pro-Palestine side of things, or more generally the anti-Zionist camps, which of course is becoming a louder group in the United States here. And in this occasion, he was asked about it, and Trump said, of course he's going to support a pardon for Bibi Netanyahu because he's a prime minister during wartime. And man, we talked about the phrase weapons of mass destruction and how it's sort of a legal term under war. How much do just governments in general, how much have they gotten away with because of quote unquote war? Like all the logical or moral boundaries go out the window because we're in war. It's like the greatest little tool for all kinds of ops. So I think this is obviously making a certain camp of the conservative split right now very angry, because Trump is siding with Bibi and Israel and that whole thing. But there's more. Is there any comments on that, Basil, before I move on? Thing about pardoning Bibi as like some kind of war criminal because he's going into Gaza and
there's a lot there. It is just really crazy to see. Just in the context of Trump, Trump's relationship with the base is just so crazy right now.
It's complicated right now. Yeah,
so crazy that talking about Trump said he talked to the president. Is he talking about talking to the president of Israel?
I think the United Nations is what I'm guessing, or whatever. Maybe it was. I don't think it was the EU. I believe it was the UN who came out and said that Bibi is a war criminal and
there's lots of people calling him, but I
know there's lots of people, but I think when he said president, I think he means like the president of the United Nations.
Okay, well, with a lot of, whenever you hear prime minister, like a country that has a prime minister, we as Americans kind of forget that prime minister doesn't equal president. That most parliamentary systems around, parliamentary democracies around the world, they have a prime minister and a president. Like there's a president and a prime minister. So I didn't know if he was talking to the president of Israel to give him a thing. I don't know if there's a president.
There is. There's a president of the United Nations General Assembly. It is currently being occupied by an incumbent Annalena Baerbock as of September 9th, 2025. So
you call her Her Excellency.
Her Excellency. The day before Charlie Kirk's assassination, the new incumbent president of the United Nations. Interesting. Okay, so there's that. Of course, people can debate what's going on with that and why and all this kind of stuff. Here's more. We're going to do a little survey because they touch on everything here, like all the stuff going on in the world. This, I believe, is Trump talking about Venezuela.
I don't hear anything. You don't have it up on the screen.
Oh, I don't have it up on the screen. Here we go.
And just by the way, for those who are just listening, this is all of these clips are from the same news conference with Bibi Netanyahu.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, they cover a wide range of things.
They cover everything.
The fact that he's standing next to Bibi Netanyahu during all of these clips is like pretty bizarre.
I mean, what it's doing also is it's feeding the quote unquote conspiracy theorists who are the anti-Zionist camp right now, because a lot of us, I'm particularly talking about the Venezuela issue, because there's a narrative out there that, the reason why we're going after Venezuela is because we're doing it on behalf of Israel. So those people all get their confirmation bias here when Trump talks about Venezuela standing next to Bibi.
Major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs. So we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
It's no longer around. We blew it up.
No longer around.
It's no longer around. And the smirk on Bibi's face, I mean, I don't know, man. You gotta, man.
Well, and the connection, make sure to turn these up. They're a little hard to hear.
I know, they're very quiet on the thing.
And you might wonder what's the connection between Venezuela and Bibi Netanyahu. It'll start to become apparent in this next one. But remember, part of the justification for action in Venezuela was the sanctioned oil tankers, sort of quote unquote illegally transporting oil to other countries. One of those main countries being Iran. At least that's what the statement is. And of course, Israel's relationship with Iran is notable in this case.
You happen to say something about Iran too.
Will you support an attack, Israeli attack on Iran if Iran will not have a deal? If Iran will continue with their ballistic missiles and also nuclear weapons?
If they will continue with the missiles, yes. The nuclear, fast. Okay. One will be yes, absolutely. The other was we'll do it immediately.
So he's talking about hitting Iran,
right,
as a retaliation.
East Texas Watchman in the chat does also mention a specific thing, as long as we're doing analysis here. Trump and Bibi Netanyahu are wearing the exact same suit and tie. They look like
red tie.
They're stepbrothers, and they are both dressed by their mom or stepmom.
Their mom.
For church.
It does look like that. Although, of course, Trump has the American flag pin. Looks like Bibi has the Israeli flag pin on his left side. And then, is that the cancer pin on the right?
So I don't know what's on here, but there was a recent story. And if we're able to get closer and look at it, then that would be
kind of hard.
There was a set of Knesset members, that's the parliament over there in Israel, who had made a pin that looked like, or was a sort of satire of, a pin that was a yellow ribbon. Okay, that looks like a legit yellow ribbon. All right, so that must be something specific. But this set of Knesset members made like a satire pin of this yellow ribbon, but it was a noose, and people were really mad about it. Apparently, it had something to do with Gaza. I just didn't really dig too deep.
Man,
I mean, that one looks like an actual yellow ribbon there. I don't know what that means. But
Yeah. Well, Netanyahu, one of the first things I remember learning about Bibi, this is years ago, was that in I think it was the 90s, like late 90s, when he first got elected into office, he was handing out these red bracelets. And we all know about the sort of Kabbalah thing with the red bracelet. But for his campaign, one of the rabbis that was supporting Bibi came out and said, these are amulets. And because of these amulets is why Bibi Netanyahu won the election. And so, these types of what's the word I'm looking for? Artifacts, these sort of spiritual artifacts have been part of at least Israeli politics for a long time. The United States likes to believe that we don't do that kind of thing, but we do as well. I mean, it's all over the
Yeah,
place.
and Trump that's like his main currency is magical artifacts.
Magical artifacts, yeah. Okay, so one more clip here, and this is about Putin. I mean, this is like World War III. We're surveying the whole world. Here's Trump talking about Putin.
The alleged strike on Putin's residence.
The question is about the alleged strike on Putin's residence, because apparently some drones came and did a little strike on Putin's residence.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. It's no good. It's no good. Don't forget, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they were offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it. What?
I can't hear the question.
Well, it came out. Well, we'll find out. I mean, you're saying maybe the attack didn't take place. It's possible too, I guess. But President Putin told me this morning it did.
Okay, so you got a personal call from Putin saying that his house got hit with drones, and Trump is saying, nah, I don't like it, which is very interesting with Bibi standing right there. Thinking about the Israeli-Russia relationship, which has been, again, it's another very complicated situation because there's sort of a public-facing, politics concerning Russia and Israel, and then there's sort of the internal, more, hush-hush political type of maneuvering going on. And Israel has been very coy about exactly how they feel with Russia. Especially because the Ukraine situation doesn't necessarily benefit Israel to support Ukraine in the way that might support or might help them if they support Russia's sort of initiatives. So anyway, that's another part of this whole thing. Who do you think bombed Putin's house? Like who would do that?
What you mean?
Do you have any ideas, Basil?
Not Ukraine? Are we? Is it?
Do you think it was just Ukraine?
Ukraine? Yeah, of course it was Ukraine.
Was it Zelensky for not getting more billions of dollars? He's mad. He unleashed the drones.
My real question is which residence it was, because Putin has a sort of official residence. I don't know. I think it's in Moscow, but then he has his like $20 billion residency that he built in secret that a investigative reporter found and like flew a drone through it. This was like maybe 2023, and then of course the reporter disappeared and was never seen again after falling out of a window. But yeah, Putin had sort of built this insane, I think is the biggest residence in the world, just out in the forest of Russia without, so I could see them hitting that sucker with some planes. I don't know if he actually lives out, or not planes, but drones. But yeah. Oh no, this is for sure Ukraine. But you mentioned, you mentioned something that struck me a lot, which was the fact that, look, Trump is a master media guy. You could call him whatever you want, but he is a master at using the media. And to be standing next to Bibi Netanyahu with wearing the same suit, the same tie, you got the Israeli flag on the Trump side, you've got the American flag on the Netanyahu side, and you've got questions coming at him from reporters, to just to even have the shot the way that it is,
the camera angle,
talking about pardoning Bibi, talking about striking Venezuela, talking about striking Iran, talking about, Putin, called me and is mad because Ukraine hit his house with, it's just everything. It is just the most inflammatory version of answering any of these questions. Part of me, I say part of me, a large part of me is pretty convinced that this real cognitive dissonance that Trump is putting his supporters through in the past few months, it has got to be on purpose. There's got to be some, it is actually kind of part. Now, I don't go so far as to call MAGA a cult or something, but Trump is very into loyalty tests. He's trying to shake out the paper hands or something.
That's true. Yeah, and specifically with the Russia situation, as I mentioned, the relationship and over Syria as well. There's some tensions there. You know how the Assyrian government is, or Russia supports the Assad government primarily militarily, but then Israel's allowed to kind of do some airstrikes in Syria. So it's like this very
Assad's gone now. They have that ex-Taliban guy who was like straight up on the terrorist list. And Israel went in, knocked on a few doors with some artillery, and Assad's out, baby. Syria is
That's true.
They've remember the Israeli army was stationed on Mount Hermon.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They basically
I had
clipped
forgotten about
off
that.
a big chunk for the Greater Israel Project. I
Yeah.
don't know what the update is, but yeah, no, it's really weird. They had the new, the Taliban president of Syria, who's obviously had some like CIA image rehabilitation. They had him come out and make a big statement, blah 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 blah, and they had him dressed in this exact suit, a Western style suit, which to get a Taliban member to wear a Western style suit, only the CIA could get that to work.
It's true.
And put him in a red tie and come out. Serious stuff is happening over there.
Yeah, you brought up Greater Israel, which is, it's a whole rabbit trail on its own, but more people are learning about that, and it's one of the, again, it's another one of those topics. We won't go into it right now, but it's because of the biblical references that people make to justify this, one way or another. It's very alarming to me because people will quote Genesis 15 or some other passages and be like, "Look, Israel's supposed to, we were promised this land, so of course we're going to try to occupy it and take it over because God promised it to us." I feel like it undermines a lot of the biblical narrative and the actual second coming of Christ and what he will do. But it also sets up this, it really geographically sets up the man of sin conquest, which I know many of you listening and hanging out are familiar with my views on some of those things, but it seems to be in line with that. And I don't know if it's going to be the actual fulfillment, but if they do move in that direction, it could fulfill or appear to fulfill certain prophecies that, and also reflect on certain prophecies that the current modern Judaism and their eschatology, it would tick off some things for them, a lot of things that they've been waiting for, some kind of military or political leader that will expand the land of Israel from what it is currently, which is a small little strip, to a much bigger, sea to sea type thing. And that's what the Israeli flag represents and all that kind of stuff. And people have pointed out, like, the IDF have patches that have the Greater Israel map on the shoulder and stuff like that. So it's definitely a part of their plan. How much of it is public? Well, not very much. But this next story, real quick, just to touch on it, I think speaks to some of this. Reuters.com headline: Netanyahu, Israel to spend $110 billion to develop independent arms industry in next decade. So interesting. Israeli Prime Minister said on Wednesday and Christmas Eve that Israel would spend 300 billion shekels, or about 110 billion, on developing an independent arms to reduce dependency on other countries. Quote, We will continue to acquire essential supplies while independently arming ourselves, Netanyahu said at a ceremony for new pilots. I don't know, this is a continued quote, I don't know what if a country can be completely independent, but we will strive to ensure our arms are produced as much as possible in Israel, he said. Our goal is to build an independent arms industry for the state of Israel and reduce the dependency on any party, including allies. That would be the United States. So this is, it's interesting because it's anticipating a little bit of a divorce from U.S., maybe not necessarily like a full-on political divorce in a sense, but certainly when it comes to the weapons and maybe the billions of dollars that we send them, there seems to be a move towards independence in that regard.
Yeah, they're certainly signaling it, which I think this, again, back to the sort of real cognitive dissonance and back and forth, which is obviously meant to sort of exhaust us.
Yeah.
It certainly signals that Israel is planning to stop getting the support from the US that they are sort of used to getting as far as weapon
Right.
sales and stuff like that. So on one hand, you got Trump standing next to Bibi talking about how, all these great things that they're doing together, which is really going to rile up a certain percentage Trump supporters. But at the same time, this really signals that Israel is not confident that they're going to continue to get the support. So whether that, Trump and Bibi are sort of planning this together, or Bibi just knows it's coming, it's, if you're on the sort of, I don't know, they would call themselves America First side, where they want to put America above their geopolitical obligations to other countries, that should come as sort of a positive, positive clue, positive cue.
Mm-hmm. And well, yeah, I mean, certainly, a goal that would make sense for Israel, modern nation state Israel, to be like, hey, we want our own military industrial complex. Like we really appreciate yours, but we would like to have our own. And, this could speak into some kind of conquest that could happen to expand the landmass of the current state of Israel. On top of that, Elon Musk, his goal when he created DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, was to rout out all the corruption that is in the corruption and inefficiencies of our government. And he went in there, he did his thing, and there was a little bit of stuff that got exposed or whatever. But ultimately, he ended up with a black eye, right? Remember that? He got a black eye, and it was like, there were all kinds of rumors. He got into a scuffle with what's his name and all that kind of stuff. Or he said he got hit by his kid or whatever, which is like, all right, I don't know about that. But this story coming from Times of Israel, Netanyahu talks to Elon Musk about AI, autonomous cars. Billionaire says he'll visit Israel in March. So for a few months, Elon was not explicitly, but he was starting to kind of, share his thoughts about the amount of influence that modern nation state Israel has in our government, and some of it being troubling to him. Apparently, it did not go well, because not only did he get that black eye, but he's stopped really pushing for some of those. He's not necessarily America first, but I think his last thing that he said that he's going to do was, hey, I'm going to create the America Party. Do you remember that? He said, I'm creating the America Party, and we're going to fully expose the Epstein situation, which again is another layer to all of this that connects to Mossad and Israel, and that the corrupt nature of some of the leadership of, truly it's any country, but in the context of the Epstein files, it goes back to Mossad and Israel and the blackmail operations and all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting to see Elon sort of bend the knee, so to speak, by not only helping Bibi with AI and autonomous cars, but also he's saying that he's going to visit Israel in March. So
it sounds like it's more of a gift to Elon to sort of focus Israel's some of Israel's resources to pushing Elon's autonomous cars. Like, it's opening up a new market. I don't know what the state of the Tesla market in Israel is, But yeah, the
Yeah.
question is, in exchange for what?
Right. What is being exchanged? And plus, I think last episode you were out, but I did cover a story about how, and this is nothing new either, Israel trying to be Silicon Valley 2.0, how they're really trying to be the leaders of technology in the whole world, much like Silicon Valley was for the last few decades. Israel is trying to position themselves as that next location where, whatever, seed funding or all kinds of tech gets innovated and all that. So it makes sense in that context of wanting to do that. So very interesting. I should have done these stories right after that other one, but there's a real quick couple other things here just to tag on. Military.com, Trump administration proposes selling nearly $6 billion in weapons to Israel. This was back in September was this article. And then over the weekend, a story was published on militarytimes.com. Over $13 billion in U.S. military aid to Israel improperly tracked, according to the Inspector General at the Pentagon. Last week concluded that the Department of Defense did not properly track significant portions of the $13.4 billion in military aid sent to support Israel following Hamas's deadly attack on October 7th, 2023. As of November 2024, that's a year ago, the Pentagon maintained records of only 44% of the defense articles subject to enhanced monitoring. The report found down from 69% before the war in Gaza began. So even before Gaza, upwards of 70% of the weapons were not being tracked, but now it's even less. Only 44% of the weapons that they send over there are being monitored. And this is,
very similar to Ukraine. We had
very
the same
similar.
problem with
It's
Ukraine.
the same plot. And this is what kind of drives me crazy right now with the Christian. I talked about this a little bit in the last episode, but there's a lot of Christians who are, I guess, thought leaders or influencers, or they're pastors and whatnot, and they have been very vocal about this current tension between the MAGA and America First situation, and obviously it hinges on how people think of modern nation state Israel, and of course that bleeds into a very generic sort of debate about Jews and all this stuff. And to me, it seems like the people that are the Christians that are really out here saying, "Oh, replacement theology is evil," and you guys are all anti-Semitic, they're not helping. They're actually making it worse. Like, they're making the divisions worse. And not only that, the thing that I wish they would look at, and I know this is wishful thinking, so I know this is not necessarily going to happen. We are in a unique position, you and I, Basil, and the people like us who kind of study and have been in this realm of truth seeking for over a decade. We know that a lot of like the terrorist groups, the Islamic terror, all that kind of stuff, they're not just created out of Islam in a vacuum. They've gotten a lot of help, either directly or indirectly, not on paper. It hasn't been too direct, but definitely they have received some of our weapons. They've received funding. They've received support, not just from America, but also Israel, creating Hamas. I played the clip from Ron Paul from, I don't know, like 12 or 13 years ago, when he said that Hamas was created by Israel. And, it sounds like, yeah, just conspiracy theory and whatnot now, but, is fairly well known if you're paying attention even a decade ago. So it just drives me crazy, because this type of news should be like, oh, they're just playing the same playbook over and over again. This idea that we're sending weapons and the weapons don't get tracked, they're not getting accounted for, and then they just end up in the terrorists' hands. I don't know what happened, and then we must fight them because they're going to take over, and we got to kill them all. And it's the same pattern. There's nothing new under the sun. And I truly wish that some of the Christian leadership that are really kind of vocal about this debate would pay attention to a little more of that, because they're starting to say the same thing. They're repeating the same lines that, hey, Islam is a threat to the West. And it's like, okay, you can talk about ideologically, maybe there's some stuff there that we disagree with, but as a whole, I don't know how many Muslims you knew growing up, Basil, but there was a good amount of Muslims where I grew up. And I, as a non-Christian, even, I thought like, oh, very different culture and whatever, but they were just normal people. They're just people, Basil, just like just like Albert Pike, just a guy. They're just guys and gals. But seriously, a lot of people that are Islamic are not out here trying to take over the world and destroy Christians and white people and all this kind of stuff. It's a very, very, very small contingent of people that are even saying those things. And mostly the people that are loud about it are folks that may have some kind of political or geopolitical or even higher up agenda to create strife and war, and it benefits the bottom line for a lot of these big organizations and corporations and stuff. So I just wish they would dig deeper on these issues instead of just towing some kind of political party line about like, oh, it's all Islam. They're all evil. It's a threat to the West and blah, blah, blah. Because when you start looking at stuff like this, it's like, yeah, how does it make sense that we're sending all these weapons and things to some place like Israel, which is it's considered a Western nation or a first world nation, and we can't track any of it? We're losing it. Where is it going? How are we losing it? Are we turning a blind eye? Is it ignorance, or is it just evil? And I don't know. Again, it's a longer conversation, but to me, it's the same playbook over and over and over again. And it seems like, going back to that story about Netanyahu wanting to spend $110 billion to develop their own arms industry, it's kind of like, yeah, we would do a better job of losing our arms to some terrorist group that we can form instead of the United States doing it for us. That's sort of like the underlying narrative that they're not saying publicly, is like, hey, we know how to do it. You guys have shown us how to effectively create terrorist groups all over the Middle East. We can do it on our own now. We just need to spend a few $1 billion to put it all together. So there you go. Money goes missing, and then Netanyahu's like, yeah, we're good. We're going to make our own weapons now. So
speaking of making a couple $1 billion, we got more scams going on the domestic front here. Let's do a little update on Minnesota.
Minnesota. Is there a jingle from Minnesota?
No, but I see you have scam here on the
Life is a scam.
Thank you.
There it is.
Thank you to John from No Agenda for that one.
Okie dokie. So the Minnesota Medicaid, Medicare, social safety net fraud stuff has been around for a few years.
Yeah.
However, in the past couple months has reached really a fever pitch of I guess attention. Lots of people diving in. We have some updates today that broke today and yesterday. But one of the things you'll love to see is when the mainstream media is finally forced to report on something, they got to find a way to report on it without actually kind of reporting on it. And so Axios here, which prides itself on just delivering the facts, gave us an article, if you can call it that, with the headline, YouTuber Nick Shirley gets FBI response to Minnesota fraud probe. All right.
Yay.
Nick, oh no, I need an arc. I thought I got the archived address for this. Hold on. Do you
I can read some of it. Yeah, I have it pulled up. I can read some of it here until you get it all figured out. Nick Shirley, a MAGA-friendly YouTuber.
MAGA-friendly, by the way. MAGA-friendly is like, that's the mainstream being really gracious. They didn't say nice. MAGA, Nazi, racist, right-wing terrorists.
No. They let the Tim Waltz and stuff do that part. Okay, so Nick Shirley, a MAGA-friendly YouTuber, lit up X during Christmas week with video reports from Minnesota alleging massive fraud in government-funded childcare programs, and provoked approving responses from the FBI and Vice President J.D. Vance.
So this isn't a story about the fraud in Minnesota and the Somalians. This is about the approving responses from the FBI and Vice President J.D. Vance to a video that a guy made about the Minnesota fraud.
Yes, which I watched about half of it. And yeah, it's Nick Shirley going into some local resident businesses and stuff, and getting
Did some boots on the ground with the
some
Somali
boots on the ground, and then also a lot of the documentation. So
Yeah,
he
we'll get
did
into some
provide
of the
that.
details in case
Mhm.
people have not been following this story over the past month or so. Nick Shirley, who's 23, who has more than 1 million YouTube subscribers and spoke during a White House roundtable this fall, is one of several young independent journalists turning heads among conservatives and Trump administration officials by going on location and quickly posting minimalist, outrage-inducing videos. In one viral scene from Minneapolis, Shirley stands in front of the supposed Quality Learning Center, misspelled on the sign as Leering Center. So here's the actual news, by the way.
Yeah,
But
this is
it's in the context of this outrage-inducing MAGA influencer. Shirley stands in front of the supposed Quality Learning Center, misspelled on the sign as Leering Center, a quote, daycare center that can't even spell learning right. Shirley deadpans to the camera. The building appears abandoned at midday on a weekday. Administration officials argue that Minnesota, under Governor Tim Walz, in 2024 Democratic VP candidate, is a hotbed of fraud perpetrated by the state's large Somali community. Walz's office told Fox News he, quote, has worked for years to crack down on fraud and asked the state legislature for more authority to take aggressive action. He has strengthened oversight. The backstory. A federal prosecutor, Joe Thompson, first assistant U.S. attorney for Minnesota, said earlier this month that $9 billion or more in federal funds that supported 14 Minnesota-run programs since 2018 may have been stolen, including COVID-related fraud. Somali Americans make up 82 of the 92, that's 89%, of the defendants charged, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for Minnesota. What they're saying, Vance, reposting Shirley's 42-minute report, said, quote, this dude has done far more useful journalism than any of the winners of the 2024 Pulitzer Prizes. FBI Director Kash Patel, under the heading Case Update, Minnesota Fraud Scheme, said yesterday, quote, the FBI is aware of recent social media reports in Minnesota. However, even before the public conversation escalated online, the FBI had surged personnel and investigative resources to Minnesota to dismantle large-scale fraud schemes exploiting federal programs. Zoom in. Okay, zoom in. Here's the real important part. Shirley's video about Minnesota fraudsters has over 1 million views on YouTube and over 100 million on X, where it has spread widely in the MAGA universe. It's not the first time his videos have apparently prompted an administration response in September, and then it goes on to another video. So, of course, the most important part of this whole fraud thing is that Shirley made a video about it. Don't call me Shirley. Now, the details of this have been interesting and unfolding now for a couple months specifically. We did get an update today from Fox 9 News. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, says it is making door-to-door visits to suspected fraud sites in Minnesota. The Department of Homeland Security says its agents are going door-to-door as part of the fraud crackdown. DHS shared videos on Twitter of agents at a smoke shop and another facility in Burnsville on Monday. DHS officials said their agents were visiting suspected fraud sites. Ba, ba, ba. So to summarize a bit of what this Somali fraud, and it's crazy because the fraud that's been going on it is not just COVID, and it's not just recent. It's been going since at least 2018. You can find stories about
2017. Yeah,
but it includes,
real quick. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it includes and connected to various politicians like Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar, and is really reflective of what we've seen when it comes to like the breakdown of USAID and the involvement there and the various, I guess just straight up corruption, but like this weird legal corruption, like everything's technically legal. You'd have to like dig in and like check paperwork to see if people lied on a form type of thing. So it's not like robbing a bank. It's just, breaking the spirit of these sorts of programs, which especially right now with the intensity of the conversation about immigration and where our tax money is going, et cetera, et cetera. This is sort of hits all the big points. What were you going to say?
I found a story on this whole thing, and my angle on this is a little bit not necessarily different than yours, but you had talked about how at the beginning here the Axios report made the story about Nick Shirley. I think there's another Newsweek report that did I put it in there? I don't remember if I did.
It was there. It got taken out, but my Reuters
out,
report is gone. I'm gonna have to pull it up. Let's do this.
Oh,
okay, tell me about your Newsweek.
Yeah, so basically, of course, the mainstream making it about Nick Shirley and not about the actual fraud case. That's one thing, a tactic, I suppose, to create, I don't know, for the legacy audience, a scapegoat or a target, not the fraud itself, but this MAGA-friendly guy who's got influence on YouTube and all this type of thing. Especially because he was part of what did it say, some committee or something that the White House roundtable in the fall. So he's ripe for being some target, right, for the mainstream. That makes sense. But the reason why I bring it up is because there are tons of articles from back in 2017, 2018 calling out this exact thing. So I have this AmericanExperiment.org article, Child Care Welfare Fraud. And in it says here that in May 2018, KMSP Fox 9 aired a story about $100 million child care welfare fraud, some which allegedly funded terrorists in Somalia and the Middle East. And the same thing, some guy went in there, he was looking at the documents, he's basically calling out the fraud. And it says here most cases involved kickbacks, schemes, wire and tax fraud, and substandard conditions that involved the child care centers. And then they explicitly talk about the connection to Somalia. And they said that the fraud involved more than $100 million in 2017. And they believe that it was over $200 million in 2017. And what's the accusation of the numbers now? Isn't it like in the billions? Like
billions, yeah. It's like 9 billion.
9 billion. Okay, so this hasn't stopped.
Somebody was making the comparison that the Minnesota Somalis, fraudsters, have taken more taxpayer money than the Lehman Brothers lost in the 2008
wow.
crash.
That's crazy.
The investment bank Lehman Brothers and an all-out fight. Let's see here. Their expected loss of $3.9 billion. That's what kicked off the great financial crisis. And the Somalians, they've taken at least double the amount.
I've heard that the amount they took was more than the GDP of Somalia altogether.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So this is like insane amounts of money. This isn't just like a little chump change here and that. No, this is like the amount that would support or more than the GDP of Somalia itself. So and in this article, it talks about the DHS response, interestingly enough here. And it says here, DHS denies the credibility of the allegations made by its own investigative unit, though there have been successful prosecutions. As of May 2018, there were 10 other ongoing investigations. So my point is, people on boots on the ground in Minnesota have known about this for almost a decade, right?
Yeah.
Why is it now, because of a 23-year-old YouTuber, is this story viral? Where the vice president shares the post and says, this is real journalism. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying the guy is bad or anything like that. I'm saying interesting, because the way, especially for the alt crowd or the MAGA base or whatever you want to call it, conservatives, the way to become the face or a rising star in that realm is to do this, is to call out some corruption. Mainstream media targets them as some kind of white supremacist or whatever it may be, or the Democrats, they'll call them names and stuff. And we got a couple clips of some of that. And then you have the conservative right or the political right embrace him as not just another guy, but this guy's really doing the work for the country or something, So I just want to point it out. I'm not saying that Nick is involved. This Nick Shirley guy is involved, but
it's interesting because the right really, I mean, not to get too deep into it, but the thing with the right is that it really embraced it, honestly, its only available asset when it comes to the mainstream news, because Fox
Right.
News doesn't even count. It's owned by Democrats. It's a whole thing. And that's what got the right where it is now, as really a result of the democratization of information on the internet, where the left, who controls all the mainstream media, if they want something out there, if they want something killed, all they do is just call up the heads of the media companies. The right, their only choice is to feature or retweet, conservative, independent news people who are doing the work. And it's very effective. I mean, the vice president retweets you. You're going to be an overnight
get a
success.
little
Now, it
attention.
was already an overnight success. Is kind of the point. He didn't come out of nowhere. He wasn't like a.
You got to be in the pool. You got to be in the pool of potentials to get the next boost.
He was in that White House roundtable stuff like that.
Right.
So some basic things about this, if you've been missing it. So the long story short is this. There's a huge Somali immigrant community in Minnesota. So much so that, Tim Walz and various politicians, they put a lot of energy into treating the Somali immigrants as its own voting bloc, right? Because you can, I think it's the mayor of Minneapolis. He's the guy going around like doing commercials in Somali, eating Somali food. He's kind of pulling like a Zoran Mamdani, but in Minnesota. And there's a lot of fun things to make fun of him for when it comes to that. But the long story short, and it has been going for, going on 10 years, somewhere around here, that the Somali immigrants have the main one that's getting the news is that Somali immigrants will open a daycare center.
Right.
Or a care center of some kind, something that's like, it doesn't have a product. There's no
They don't need to develop or ship anything. It's just it's a center where they watch kids.
Where just people go there and that's the business. And whether it's childcare or autism centers or blah, 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 but these companies are either companies or NGOs are always very specifically qualified to receive Medicare money or grant money. And it's not just Minnesota state taxes going to these. It's also federal taxes.
I know. We've been paying for the Somali terrorists. You and I, Basil, our dollars.
Long story short, they make a daycare center. They file a bunch of paperwork to get money from the government because, they'll say, oh, we're taking care of 2,000 kids a month, and doctor up whatever paperwork it takes. But the point is, the other side point of this is showing that they don't actually have to prove a lot to get this grant money, which is a problem with either the grant system, the Medicare system, or whatever, and kind of introduces the idea that these Medicare grants, federal funds, state funds are, if not knowingly sending this money to places it shouldn't go, at least creating the system in a fashion that they can have some plausible deniability as to, we're just sending the money. They're taking care. I don't know. We don't have whatever. We're just doing the Lord's work, sending everybody's tax dollars everywhere. So the daycare center, the autism centers, these are kind of the big ones. But they got really creative. I mean, you got to give it to these Somali immigrants. Some of the reporting came out that so one Somali family would start a restaurant and be a Somali restaurant. But then another member of the family would start a Somali grocery store right next to the restaurant. Then the restaurant would get their supplies from the Somali grocery store for the thing, and this is all in the same family. But then somebody else in the family would start a daycare center to take care of the kids of the employees of the grocery store and the restaurant. And it would expand like this to where, 20, 30 members of the same family were all kind of working together. They could, bill each other. They could make up receipts and invoices really without like a whole lot of, trackable transactions going on. But inevitably, all of it would be sort of funded by tax dollars, coming in to, pay for the Lamborghini of the restaurant owner that's parked outside the restaurant on Tuesdays or whatever. But Nick Shirley and another of other guys, I didn't really take down their names or make note of them. It is interesting. Nick Shirley is getting a lot of the credit for this, but there's been a handful of other guys who have done the boots on the ground thing and kind of broke the story before Nick Shirley really made it popular. And so, that's where a lot of the grocery store came from. So that's kind of and now we're seeing reporting that other states are starting to look at their licensed daycare centers.
Yeah.
And Washington found that about 10% of all their licensed daycare centers are also owned by Somali immigrants. And, they're starting that investigation.
This is the double-edged sword too. And I've been warning in this context for a long time that anytime corruption is exposed, what is the solution? Problem, reaction, solution, right? In this case, there's some money laundering going on. There's maybe some lack of identification and lack of verification of certain things. This is a great setup for digital IDs. This is a great setup for crypto and blockchain and, immutable digital technology.
Well, especially because it has to do with kids. Chip your kids. You got to get your kids. Get your kid the Trump account. They got to get their digital ID in order to get their Trump account. And with the digital ID, we can track and make sure that your kids, at the daycare center that's receiving.
They're at the daycare. Yeah. And this, I mean, it's been my, I guess, general warning about these things. It's like, okay, great. Yes, let's expose the corruption, but let's be very careful about what we do as a response, because every crisis in this country for as long as I've been alive, Basil, has had consequences because of the solutions implemented, and consequences that may not even be understood at the time of implementing them. It's very few people. For example, after 9/11, what was it? The act?
We're all aware the Patriot Act and the TSA,
the Patriot Act, and right. Okay, so people know, people understand the context, but so that's what I kind of want to make sure people are aware of. Not enough people are thinking about the long-term effects of a solution that it might seem to make sense under the context of, hey, we're getting rid of this corruption, but extend that out and it could be very dystopic very quickly. So
well, the good news is our people, they're smarter. They're
smart. I know, they know. There's not enough.
Speaking of Polymarket, nobody was.
You love Polymarket.
No, I think it's hilarious.
Just the Polymarket news.
If CNN teamed up with Polymarket, then we can too. It is an official data, collecting tool for the news. Polymarket says, just in, it has been revealed the phone number for Minnesota's Sweet Angel Childcare goes directly to the office of Governor Tim Walz. Then an hour later or so says, update. Governor Walz's office line has been removed from the Minnesota's Sweet Angel Childcare business listing, but no new phone number was provided. So Tim Walz has some explaining to do, but I just as a side note to make the note here, because I am being funny, bringing up Polymarket because of CNN teaming with Polymarket. And so Polymarket, which was a betting website, is suddenly now a main outlet for news. You have Polymarket breaking news about the Sweet Angel Childcare phone number going to Tim Walz. Like, what does that have to do with betting on? I'm sure there's a bet about
predictions.
That. But it shows how
about the predictions.
The news itself is now like
it's a market.
Yeah, it's a market, right? You can, and so Polymarket sort of participating in the dissemination of various pieces of news is actually advertising for their own, like, hey, look at this, come bet on it, make some money. All right, but we did have Tim Waltz responding to the allegations being made by Nick Shirley here. Let's see what he has to say.
What happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy.
So it sounds to me, Nick, that Tim Walz is saying that you and others that are out there trying to expose this, you're doing it because you're white supremacists. What is your response to him?
Yeah, Tim wants votes. There are entire apartment complexes where white people have been pushed out of these apartment complexes because Somalians have taken over inside of these towns like Minneapolis, where they can go get votes from these people. And if you have 100,000 people that will vote for you because you're going to enable and let this stuff happen, and because you're going to call a white person racist for calling out facts, this is what's going to happen to a state like Minnesota. Minnesotans, they say Minnesota nice, but they are very upset. And I totally understand why they're upset, because they don't have a governor who's actually working for them. He's actually working against them.
Nick, your video's been viewed 93 million times.
Yeah, we don't have to necessarily. Do you want to finish this clip?
This kid is 23 years old, man.
I know. Yeah.
23. That's crazy. That's when that's when I started podcasting. Yep.
I was going to say that, I was trying to do some quick math. How old was he when we started podcasting? Let's see.
Like 8.
He was, we started podcasting in 2012. That's 14 years ago.
8 years old.
He was 9 years old. 8, 9 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the world. Look at the world.
Look at the world.
Yeah. So there was another lady, Mrs. Gay.
Just to point out, because it'll come up in this thing, in this clip also. Yep. Tim Waltz was saying that the right is making Somalians the scapegoat for fraud. Okay. The earlier part of that, I watched the full clip. The earlier part of the clip, Tim Waltz was saying, hey, there's lots of fraud, okay? There's fraud everywhere. Every state has fraud, and all people, black, white, it doesn't matter. Fraud is colorblind. It's all fraud, okay? There's a lot of fraud. So to point out the fraud of the Somalians is white supremacy, which is just like peak woke lunacy. And coming from the governor of the state, like, this is not a crazy barista. This is the governor of the state pointing out Somali fraud, which is enormous, is white supremacy, because all races commit fraud. And he specifically uses the phrase scapegoat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The question is, why is this a priority in a different kind of way? The politicization of the DOJ and the FBI is undeniable. So whether they are reliable narrators is the big question. And this is what happens when you weaponize and politicize federal agencies that are not meant to be, politicized. And I think the American people are right to ask the question, well, can we trust you? And that's a sad thing to say as an American. Let's recall, too, that there's also other scandals in other states. For example, the Mississippi welfare scandal. And this is not unique to politics. Americans know that. But of course, the other factor here is that because it looks like the Somali population in Minnesota, the Somali immigrant population may have been involved in some way, those people are being scapegoated, and that community is being scapegoated in a way that certainly serves the far right. And so that's also something to keep an eye on, and that's inappropriate. Absolutely.
That's inappropriate.
It's inappropriate.
It's just inappropriate. So there you go. The exact same talking points. This is on Morning Joe, by the way, this gal.
Yeah, the Morning Joe.
The exact same talking points. There's fraud everywhere, okay? Remember all this other fraud in different places.
Okay, hold on. She mentioned
Somali fraud is scapegoating.
She mentioned the Mississippi welfare scandal, okay? Yeah. So the amount of money that's being, misspent or whatever, according to the reports, of the Mississippi welfare scandal is $77 million. Not chump
Yeah.
change, but it's not $9 billion.
That's like 1,000 times increase,
1,000
more
times
than
different.
1,000.
She could have used a different one. She should. Well, she can't say California because California is Democrat. There's all kinds of fraud going on in California here too. But you can't do a Democrat state, so she had to call out a Republican state there. But yeah, I mean, 77 million is still not nothing, but also not $7+ billion, greater than the
1,000
GDP
times
of
less
all
than the
Somalia.
Somalis. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
man.
this is interesting. A part of this surely is being used as a bit of a distraction. There's also, I mean, one of the points that they make, it is true. There is lots of fraud in lots of other places. California Governor Newsom is dealing with,
goodness.
he
Oh,
is
yeah.
just on the knife's edge of some serious,
please, just
very similar
end.
fraud cases, by the way.
I know. Maybe I should just make a video, and maybe the vice president of the United States will retweet me and will say, this Gons has done more journalism than Morning Joe or something,
Polymarket just in. Minnesota's Department of Children announces the Equality Leering Center has been closed. Wah, wah. Oh no, it's been closed.
Well, there's another one breaking. U.S. Justice Department announces 98 people have already been charged for fraud in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is this for this particular thing, or is it just
I think
98
so.
people have been charged for fraud in Minnesota, just generally,
Yeah, that appeared in that Axios article. It was 90 something of them have been charged, and 89 of that number were Somalis. So
okay, that's right.
or something like that. It was 89% of the 90 something.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and this goes real deep. It's been interesting to watch. There's about a dozen different fronts that the Trump administration has opened up against really the Democratic establishment. Now, the Democratic establishment includes politicians like Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar. There's, an official DHS investigation into her marrying her brother, committing immigration fraud. You've got the California Gavin Newsom thing going on. If nothing else, he's really keeping the Democrats on their toes here as we move into the midterms. And that's one thing I want us all to take a nice big deep breath. Next year is midterms, and so the reality distortion, the narrative crafting, the brainwashing, everything is about to get turned up to 11. The midterms are a really big deal, specifically for the Trump administration. If they go one way or the other, it'll decide the rest of the world until 2030, I guess 2028, which technically would be 2029 before the next guy comes in. It could really hamper anything the Trump administration wants to do. And so they're going to put everything they can into it. And I think that's part of why JD Vance and whoever else is doing it is propping up folks like Nick Shirley. It's sort of equipping, giving credibility to, spreading far and wide the right's version of what can win them the midterms, because obviously the mainstream media is not going to help them. Quite opposite, actually. But yeah, it's all 100% corruption. Top to bottom, the whole thing is 100% corruption. There is no
it's not
corrupted piece of this government.
I think what I've learned in this last, maybe especially this last year, it's some stuff I had thought before, but the scammers will scam. And as far as like the left-right paradigm, the Democrats scam a lot, right? The conservatives and the right, the Republicans, if you will, they also scam. I think they're just better at it. They're like better at navigating the legal landscape, and they're not so obvious about it. but they're very good at it too. You know, they just do it in a way that's less obvious, maybe, or you know, I don't know, more.
Well, they just have different resources. You know,
Yeah,
they
they-
don't have the same even kinds of resources that the left
Yeah,
has.
sure. Yeah. But it seems like the whole system, and this is again going back to the FLIPPY update, this really does appeal to the implementation of artificial things, or what did Trump say? What did he call it? Like maybe he didn't say AI, or he just said artificial things, I think.
Yeah.
Where it's just a human problem at a certain level, that if you become a politician in this country nowadays in 2025, your motivations, no matter how pure your motivations were when you started in politics, eventually, if you want to keep going, you hit these different levels, right? And if you want to keep going, the incentive doesn't, or it shifts away from like, hey, what's best for the people or my local community or whatever, to simply like how many votes I can get and how much money can I make, you know? And that's been the problem. Most politicians, you know, their salaries aren't super crazy, but how are all of them becoming multimillionaires? You know what I mean? Like, you get into office.
And this ties into the economic thing again, because as it's been pointed out by a lot of people, we got something very serious coming down the pike, and some people made this I guess accusation about Candace, or really anybody they want, where, you know, people know that time is running out with AI, with the economic shifts, with the dollar, with blah blah blah. You know, the people seem to know what's coming, and especially those who kind of are in the know, obviously. And the idea is, or the sentiment is, you just got to make your bag, take as much money as you can, get as much money as you can, and do it as fast as you can, because you're going to lose your opportunity. It's all going under, and you either make the bag now or you never make it.
You're going to either make it. The phrase I've heard is, what was the phrase? Basically, the idea being that you're either going to make it or you're going to be in the slave class, like this new slave class that's being formed right now.
Yeah, the UBI, I mean, universal basic income being part of the conversation, and more seriously than it ever has, being promoted by not just technocrats, but also politicians, and not just weird ones like Andrew Yang. You've got establishment Republican politicians talking about universal basic income. They are taking it very seriously. You know, it's just mentioned.
I remember the phrase.
Ilhan Omar. Okay.
The phrase is have yachts or have nots.
Yeah.
Basically, have nothing or have yachts. Like, there's no in between.
Or have everything. You know? That's the thing.
Well, that's the idea. Yeah. The
there
concept.
is no middle ground. I did put one last Tim Waltz response on our document there. You can open up while I just mentioned.
Nice large text too. Thank you for that.
The Ilhan Omar, what was it? Her net worth before getting into office was negative $45,000, and now it's $30 million. She's getting her bag. You know, you got to get it now.
Her bag.
All right,
here it is.
This just came out. Another response from Tim Waltz. I can guess what it's going to say based on what we've identified in the scripting, but let's see what it says.
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up. Because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no idea I was in this program. So I think it's asking us then, you know, for every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about that. I think it's crime in general. And I think the biggest thing on this is just making sure that we're educating the population. And again, this is 80 people or so that have been convicted in this, maybe some more in that, out of a broader ring. Medicaid fraud will stretch across all racial demographics, all ethnic groups. Yeah, so I think it's really important for us to know each community's got this in their own midst, but to blame them and say that they should have been responsible for stopping it, I think that's a pretty hard reach. I think we can.
They're not blaming them. They're blaming you, Tim Walz.
Yeah, nobody's blaming the
Nobody's
Somali
blaming the
community.
Somalis. They're looking at you, bro.
Continue to
Yeah,
educate folks about
this
why
is
they-
him blaming them. This is a really
crazy.
sneaky
This is-
politician
yeah,
way
it's
to
bad.
come out. He's got everybody on his butt about this, and he's like, "Oh no, well, these
White
dang
men."
Somalis are getting me in trouble here. I blame these Somalis for getting me in trouble. Ooh, that's good. Okay, don't blame the Somalis for stealing $9 billion. It's not their fault. All right, keep it going.
Shouldn't commit crimes. You would hope that it's being taught both at home and at schools and in our society. But no, I think this idea that the Somali community's to blame for this because they didn't do more, I think that's how we got into this. And that's, you know, again, I know we're not going to lose the whole plot here. All this work that's being done, Donald Trump brought this to the attention like this is something brand new. This is not brand new, and it's been being worked on, but he made it white hot and very.
Okay, all right.
And it's not Donald Trump, it's Nick Shirley, of course.
Well, he's MAGA friendly, so might as well be Trump.
That's true. All right, let's see here. What do we got? You got one
Well,
last
here,
thing?
I to this conversation about these politicians making their bag before everything hits the fan. I thought I'd end the show with this last story about a bunker.
The debunker bunker.
I just wanted to play that jingle. It's not a debunking per se, but this is an article from gizmodo.com. And the headline is Prime Video may expand Fallout, which is the game, with a reality show spinoff. And it says here, do you like the Fallout games or show enough to watch a competition show based on Fallout Shelter? And it says here, 2 seasons in, and the Fallout TV show may soon expand its horizons, not with a spinoff set in the same universe, but with new characters, but a reality competition show of all things.
Ooh, okay.
Per reporter Jeff Snyder, the streamers got designs on such a project dubbed Fallout Shelter. He alleges the series will take place inside one of the one or perhaps multiple vaults and take inspiration from the video game of the same name, where a player, dubbed the Overseer, manages their vault and its citizens by giving them food, supplies, and generally making sure they survive. Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy are expected to executive produce the series as they do for the adaptation. So a reality TV show of how these people manage their little societies in bunkers. I mean, it's almost, it's not only is it like Truman Show, but it's also kind of a commentary or maybe like a microcosm of what already happens with politicians.
Oh,
You know, these
the fact that
politicians.
the fact that the interest is high enough in the general public to support a Fallout Shelter reality show, I mean, says a lot about where
says a
the
lot.
state of the world is. And yeah, I think like with context clues, if somebody doesn't know what Fallout is, they might have it by now. But it is post-apocalyptic. Fallout Shelter itself is a mobile game. And it's kind of like an old Sims game, like Sim Tower or something, where you build your own post-apocalyptic Fallout shelter, and you bring in people from the wastelands, or you kick them out, and you manage your resources, and you make sure you've got enough water and food and this kind of stuff. It's a pretty fun game. But it's a reality show where and in Fallout, the original games, which is not a mobile game, it's like the 60s or the 50s and nuclear wars on the horizon. And so the government, much like how we've now learned the US government, may have stolen $22 trillion from itself to build underground bunkers and tunnels all over the country.
Right.
They're
looking for some managers. They're looking for some managers for their bunker societies. And what a great way to do it. Maybe some reality TV show to find them.
Exactly right. We need to have a reality TV show to learn who could survive and manage in an underground bunker for whatever the longest, and deal with the raiders and the mutants and things like that. Dude, I abhor reality TV, But if any reality TV show could catch my attention and watch it, or B, become a reality
Participate. Yeah. I
I'll
think we
show
got
up with the VR headset and the googly eyes. That'll be like my shtick, you know? It's like, oh, we got Tommy over here. He's the guy who's good at machines. And we've got Jolene over here. She's good with gardening. We're all gonna survive. And then there's a googly eye Basil over here. I don't know what he's good for, but we'll get him on the show. He's entertaining.
Everyone doubted him until he took over.
Get me on the show. Come on, let's go.
We have the perfect guy to do the show, and I think we can put Canary Cry on the map. We just got to deck you out in Canary Cry gear and force the commune to only wear Canary Cry gear and listen to Canary Cry.
Look, part of reality TV is like, you know, they start out and they have all the contestants. You're like, hi, my name's I don't know what's a name, Grace, and I'm a nurse from Minneapolis. I'm a daycare center owner from Minneapolis, and I'm here to win the prize so I can care for all the children, you know, something like that.
Right.
If you're doing a post-apocalyptic like bunker survival show, you have to have the guy who is a podcaster about conspiracy theories. It is required
It's
cast.
true. It's a required cast. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I wonder how much of the non-realistic portions of the game will make it into the reality show. You know, for example, there's time compression. You know, I guess babies in the game grow to adults in hours. Hey, that would be interesting. You know, you get a couple of the cast members to have a baby, and boom, boom, we can do a little CRISPR injection, and they're fully grown in like 3 weeks. And then also same thing with construction
station.
Yeah. There's genetic reproduction. There's controlled breeding with predictable outcomes, which is exaggerated in the game.
Are you just describing the video game now?
No, there's just some things that are realistic and not realistic about the game. I was looking it up, and it's just funny to see some of the non-realistic aspects of it. And I'm just saying, are they going to include
none
those?
of it's realistic.
The raiders and the creatures that come try to take your stuff, are they gonna employ?
Oh, for sure. If they don't have that's a huge part of the game. If they don't have like raiders, or I guarantee you, I can see it now. You know, like they do it on a lot of shows where they'll bring in a new person, maybe like halfway through the show to kind of mix it up and cause more drama. Yeah, they're gonna have people wander in from the, you know, apocalyptic wasteland on like episode 6 or something, and the gang has to decide if they can stay or do they have skills or whatever. Maybe that's where I would thrive. You know, I don't start on the show.
You walk in with the googly eyes, or very
knock on the door.
uncertain.
Yeah, they all have to be like, what's up with this guy? What's with the googly eyes? What's with he's a podcast? Do we need that? Should we let him? They just feel sorry for me. Like, oh, he's so pitiful. Let him in. You know, and then
the emus attack, and then you're able to tame the emu, and then they're like, oh, we gotta keep him.
I get up in the middle of the night, like unlock the door, and I just open the door, and a bunch of Canarians come in. Like I let in all the podcast listeners. Like the bunker is taken over by the podcast listening following of the crazy tinfoil hat googly eye man.
That would certainly be it there.
The canary in the coal mine.
You get Alex Jones in there. You get everything. That would be great.
Well, maybe that's how I'm supposed to get my bag. You know, I don't know how we're gonna make it through the economic shift here, but maybe becoming a reality TV star. Maybe that's what God has for me, and so I can have that yacht instead of not.
Yeah. Well, the supply droppers are on their way. They got the gold backs in the mail. You know.
Oh yeah, a bunch of people got their supply drops in the mail. You're stoked. I'm stoked. Speaking of which, very fun. I was surprised for a moment. I go, holy moly. Thankfully, thanking the Lord God above, that we had a nice collection of producers since the last full episode, which was the 17th, which was crazy. That's so long ago. And I had forgotten that we had mentioned that through December, executive producers will have the option to receive a Canary Cry calendar. And thank goodness there were some executive producers out there who said, that's just what I needed to hear, Basil. Let's keep you guys alive for another month. So a big old shout out to all of our producers. And if you don't know, we're on the value for value model. We don't take any money from corporations, commies, cartels, platform partnerships, the Vatican, Tim Walsh,
Zionists. We don't get anything
Somali
from it.
daycare owners.
Yeah,
No,
Somali daycare.
we're entirely
man.
supported and sustained by the grace of God and the participation of our Canary Cry family in the value for value model, which means you can become a producer of the show. You are a producer of the show, and you can produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. It's not all about money. If you're a artistic person or a musician, you can create art for the show or create jingles or music for the show. If you have some time on your hands, you can help us out with our back-end processes, with some projects we got going on, with some administration. But if all else fails, you can support the show financially. It's very important. And, you know, December was looking pretty sad right up until about the 18th, where I don't know what happened, but the Lord certainly inspired people to support the show, which we're very grateful for. A big old shout out to all of our monthly supporters, our supply droppers, our t-shirt council, or just anyone out there who goes to canarycry.support and says, you know what, I get value. I want to keep getting value. I've been getting value for a long time. I want to get it far into the future, and sign up for a monthly support amount. And here's the thing with value for value. It's up to you. Whatever the amount means for you, the value brought to your life, only you can decide it. And if you go to canarycry.support, you can sign up, support the show for a one-time producership, or sign up monthly. And those monthly producers, man, it's really a big load off of our brains and our shoulders too, because it allows us to look ahead, 30 days or so, and know that that there's something. Because for anybody who's listened to this show for any period of time, sometimes there's a lot of producers for an episode. Sometimes there's zero, so we try to be as consistent as we can, both in chronologically and in quality. But it's just the manner of the value for value model. We never actually know what the day is going to look like when we wake up to do a show. But the monthly producers help give us some stability, and we're very blessed by it. And if you sign up for the supply drop over at canarycrysupplydrop.com, every quarter we'll send you awesome stuff. The fourth quarter supply drop had some gold backs in it. You got your own gold negotiable instruments that's catching on across the country here. You got your Canary Cry calendar. And for the month of December, you got a couple more days, 3 more days, something like that.
2 days.
Executive producers will have the option to receive the Canary Cry calendar. If you missed out signing up for the supply drop before the cutoff date, or whatever, something like that, you can still get a Canary Cry calendar, a beloved treasure of the Canary Cry family. It's a calendar filled with Canary Cry producer art, and the 2026 calendar is absolutely jam-packed with biblical holidays.
I got it right here.
You got it? What do you got? Oh, you got the calendar. There you go. It's beautiful this year. The biblical holidays, of course, regular holidays, holidays for the show, anniversaries, important dates and conspiracy theories, important dates and, alternative histories or whatever. It's, I would say, the most comprehensive and useful calendar for specifically Christian truther people that even exists. There's nothing like it. So for a couple more days, if you executive produce the show, we'll make sure you get one of these calendars. And to what is executive producing? Well, the executive producers are people who come in, they support any individual episode with $100 or more. And that gives them okay. So I'm realizing our next show, because of this next holiday, is going to be January 5th. So we will at least expand the executive producership calendar special to at least January 5th. Okay. So you got a week.
Okay.
You got a week from now to executive produce the show. If we are reading your name as an executive producer next episode, then you get the calendar. And we had a nice handful of lovely and very important, very handsome and beautiful, very smart and pious executive producers come in since December 17th. It's quite the list, so we're going to thank them. We love them. Are you ready to do that, Gons?
Let's do it. And I was just reminded that I share a birthday with the CIA. I forgot about that. Thank you, calendar, for reminding me.
And everybody, that's a good reason for everybody out there to get the calendar. What happens on your birthday?
Right.
Did a ship disappear from the Philadelphia harbor because it was teleported by government secret scientists? Did Nazi scientists get brought over in Operation Paperclip? You never know. There's special days. Okay. I want to thank some executive producers, starting with Dame Pocojo comes in. Dame Pocojo comes in for
Pocojo.
$111.11. 11.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Good
much.
to see you, Pocojo.
And a good reminder for everybody who's planning on executive producing: if you come in with a nice flat number, like $100 or $150, whatever it is, that's you telling us you prefer we do not read the amount on the show. Nice flat round number. We provide as much anonymity as anybody wants. If you don't mind us disclosing the amount on the show, make it a funky number. 11111, 12345. Put 77 cents or 33 cents, whatever. Make it a funky number. That's you saying that you don't mind us disclosing it. So thank you, Dame Pocojo, coming in for 11111. Says, Merry Christmas, Basil and Gons. I would love to know what you guys are currently studying in the Word, and or if you are thinking about a Bible reading plan for 2026. Love your sister in Christ, Dame Pocojo. I do this every year, and I just am not very good at pulling the trigger on this. I really want to do a Bible in a year thing. Get the actual.
Just talk to my wife. She's pulled off 2 straight years of reading the Bible all the way through.
2 straight years?
2 years in a row, yeah. But she does cheat, not cheat, that's not the right word, but if she is unable to actually physically read it out of the book, she'll just do the audio Bible to catch up.
That could be helpful.
Yeah, so there are ways to do it that can sort of mitigate you from just sitting down and reading, because I know sometimes it's hard to find time for that, but I can send you some of what she uses if you're curious.
I was going to say, there must be like a podcast or something that somebody.
There are podcasts that do that have already published the entire year's worth of devotionals, daily devotionals that get you through the whole Bible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's some tools out there. I've not done that before in terms of like a 1-year thing. I think I've read the full Bible a couple times, but it wasn't like a systematic thing.
Done it in a year. And I've tried before, and I like the way that they're set up. You read the 1-year Bible, gives you some Old Testament, gives you some New Testament, gives you some Psalms and some Proverbs or something. They kind of split it up so you get a nice variation in each day. Which I think is sweet. Other than that,
in terms of studying like topics that I'm studying, I am working on that book, Archetypalism, and I'm digging into all kinds of different things some things that already have been studied, and so it's sort of bringing up old scholarly commentary and works on some of those topics. But I'm also discovering that there are a couple things that either haven't been written about, or at least, nothing, maybe there's a blog out there that has done it or something like that, but nothing where it's academically acknowledged. And not that I'm a scholar that is qualified in terms of officialdom, but I'm trying to explore some of those things. And one of those topics is Hezekiah as the archetypal antithesis for the Antichrist conquest. So I'll just leave it there. I kind of ranted on it before the show to you, Basil. I don't know if it made any sense, but it's a very interesting study because, of course, Hezekiah is thought to be a pro-God character in the Bible, which he is, but in the context of what the Antichrist may do to fulfill some of the, or convince the leadership of current sort of Judaism, or if you want to say modern nation state Israel, there are certain things that he does that might resemble what Hezekiah did. So
I'm
interesting
sure
stuff there.
we'll all hear all about it once you come.
All about it in 2026. You guys are going to be sick of hearing about archetypalism, but then you won't be able to look at your Bible without seeing
Next
an
up,
archetype.
we have executive producer Gary S. coming in.
Gary
And
S. Thank you,
Gary S. comes in for $101. 101.
101. I don't think we have a jingle for 101.
We
Do
have
we?
the 1001. Amen.
10. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
1001. Amen.
Thank you,
I forgot about
Gary.
those robots.
We
Thank you,
have
Gary.
executive producer Sir Jamie, not the Lannister, comes in for his weekly tithe. Thank you, Sir Jamie.
Thank you.
We have executive producer Mark G comes in for a nice round
Mark
number. Thank you, Mark.
G. Thank you, Mark G.
We have, let me make sure Mark didn't send a message here. I didn't think I saw one. Okay. Next up, we got Felicia D came in. Thank you, Felicia D.
Felicia D. Good to see you.
We have Arnold W came in.
Arnold W. Thank you.
Also for a nice round number. I feel like Arnold W is a knight of some kind.
I feel like he should be at the very least.
Well, this is the tough part. I think if he is a knight,
I could look it up on the thing.
Well, I don't think it includes the name Arnold or W. I think it might have a different name, but I might also just be imagining this because he's just been around for so long. I might just be assuming that he has some sort of knight name. If that's true, Arnold W. See, this is what happens when your podcasters that you support are so dedicated to privacy and anonymity. We don't even have a list of the knights and dames with their real names. We have to remember all of them by memory, which is good. I don't know if that's something we should feel so strongly about, but we do. So thank you very much, Arnold W, for your support.
Thank you, Arnold W. Appreciate it.
Next up, we got producer Jinja coming in, supporting the show
Jinja.
for a nice round number. Thank you, Jinja.
My mic is cutting out. Thank you, Jinja.
Now I'm remembering, I think that Jinja does have a knight or dame name, but she's just so gracious. She doesn't what's the word? Correct us when we don't do it. So thank you very much, Jinja. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Jinja.
Then we had Sir Alex Protocol, V2 Baron of the Breen Protocol, supports every episode since then, and he comes in for $100.33.
Aha.
Illuminatus!
Thank you.
And he's on a 450 episode streak and a 104 episode executive producer streak.
Wow.
Thank you very
Impressive.
much.
Impressive, all of you.
We have, let's see here. Jonathan K comes in for a nice round number. Thank you, Jonathan K.
Jonathan K. This is still executive producer?
Still executive producers.
Wow.
Yeah. I know. It's amazing. This is like more executive producers than maybe we had in the last 2 months. We got it in 2 weeks. Because they want the calendar, folks. Let this be a testament to how
we need to release a calendar every month, or maybe just the month, the next month.
Look at what people are willing to do. They don't. Anyways, lots of these people produce often, so I don't want to give them any guff. We have anonymous producer here, an executive anonymous producer, coming in for $337.77. So 33,777.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah. And anonymous executive producer says, "It is with great honor that I nominate Jonathan F. to take his rightful place at the round table of knights and dames, should he so choose. Thank you for your dedicated service to the Canarium. Okay.
It's a great person to pick. I appreciate
Yes.
that.
So the way this has been a part of what we've had to try to figure out in the past for a long time. Of course, to get into the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, it is reflective of supporting the show in the amount of $1,000 or more. This could be all at once, or it could be over many, many years. And often we've had lots of very creative producers create lots of things for the show, but we've had trouble sort of like, I don't know, translating that creative work into a dollar amount that can be sort of equalized with the producership. So this has been going on for years. And previously we have knighted or damed artists or musicians before. And the way that this gets done is that producers who do produce financially will transfer their producership to a willing and deserving creative producer. And so at the very least, we are going to credit 33777 to Jonathan F., which may very well be what it takes to get Jonathan F. over the line. So Jonathan F. out there, here's also another thing for Canary Cry Roundtable and Knights and Dames, I guess, hopefuls. We do not keep the accounting for these things. So that is up to you. I think actually, all right, hold on. Shoot.
Now we're investigating. We're going into the
yeah,
books.
yeah. Sorry. I think this producer, yes. Okay. Yes. So this producer has actually made multiple producerships that do add up to more than this. And he noted this, or she noted this in their note. And so Jonathan F., get in contact with us. I'm going to give you the application of what this producer has sent me. And I'm almost positive that this will get Jonathan F. to knighthood. Thank you very much, anonymous producer. I mean, he's got his own jingle.
He's got his own jingle. He's got to be he's got to be a knight. Yeah.
Send me an email, Jonathan F. I'll give you these numbers, and I'm almost certain, because Jonathan F. has also supported financially too. I'm sure this gets him over the list. All right, next up, we've got executive producer Sir Egorius, Baron of the Squatting Slavs.
Sir Egorius, thank you. Good to see ya.
Yeah, and Sir Egorius comes in for $320.
Wow.
He's got the 32. He's sending the message here. He says, Merry Christmas, my dudes. Thank you very much, Sir Egorius. Merry Christmas to you, my dude.
Thank you, Sir Egorius. Appreciate you.
Okay.
What a list.
What a list. And that's not all, Gons. There's another person on the list.
Oh, my.
And this is an incredible, this really played a big part in making the end of the year work for you and I this month. We had another executive producer, one last executive producer come in. This was executive producer Baroness ARIRL. And yes, she comes in for 616161.
Oh my gosh.
$6,161.61. 616161, which is just an astonishing executive producership. And I've already
six knighthoods, 6 rounds.
6 knighthoods. It's time. Now, she's not the only one. Of course, Sir LX certainly would qualify.
Oh, match, yeah.
Some other people would as well, to go whatever comes after Baron and Baroness. So we're coming up on 2026, Gons. I think it's time we take the next step on one of the slowest processes that we've ever done, which is to expand the peerage of the Canary Cry Roundtable and Knights and Dames. Right now, Baron and Baroness are the recorded highest peerage. But between Sir Alex Protocol and Baroness AR IRL and a few others, I think it's time we expand it to the next level. So
we got to raise the ceiling. We got to raise that glass ceiling.
Yes, this is
raise
Baroness
the firmament.
IRL, yeah, blasting through that glass ceiling. Like, do you have the Hillary jingle?
The Hillary one?
Buster?
Firmament
Baroness
buster.
AR
Yeah.
IRL is a firmament buster.
I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will.
Yep, it's Baroness AR IRL.
Thank you, Baroness AR IRL. You really brought the Christmas cheer. And she sends a message, very simple, says, "Merry Christmas. Thanks for all you do, Baroness AR IRL."
Thank you.
God
wow.
bless you.
Appreciate you.
Oh, so there we go. Christmas is saved because of all of our executive producers. Each one of you executive producers are eligible to receive a Canary Cry calendar if you like. If you already received your one in the supply drop, you're welcome to donate it to somebody, and we will activate the Pay It Forward Canary Cry calendar program next month. But God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I
And
appreciate.
we didn't even have to sell out, Gons. That's the best
I know.
part of the
Look at that. I mean,
model.
that's yes. You're right. I think it should be a golf clap for all the executive producers for the whole year. I mean, all the producers really for the whole year, because another year under our belts, Basil, where we prove that you don't have to,
don't gotta take advertisements.
You don't have to take advertising, and
don't gotta follow the rules and take YouTube money. You don't gotta bend the knee to whatever ideological or corporate force that gets to decide whether a piece of media is allowed to exist or not, or at least exist in some sort of viable financial way or not. This is the value for value model, baby. That's what it's all about. And again, I've given this advice, and I'm going to continue to give this advice to people who ask about doing a podcast and funding it and stuff, because we are often unaware of the fact that other people are in different positions. And it may sound silly, it may sound obvious, but in my life, I've had the opportunity to meet and even be friends with people who God really blessed in just an incredible way financially, right? And if someone gives $100 to a podcast, I mean, to a lot of people that's just unthinkable. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
You don't need to do anything for a podcast. But there comes a time when, and you don't even have to be rich for this, don't get me wrong, but there comes a time where we become so minded. I don't know what that is, if we're heavenly minded or if it's Christ minded or if we're just disconnected from the sort of ruling ideologies of economy and the global religion of the dollar, things like this, where putting our money in places that we feel God is calling us to do so is an incredibly rewarding experience, often an incredibly awarding experience. God blesses us in different ways for participating in what he's going on. And this is why the value for value model works, is because to some people, giving $1 a month or signing up for a $5 monthly producership and things like this, it's the only thing that can make sense to them. And to other people, it's totally different. They're in a totally different situation, and it could be financially, it could be just spiritually, it could be whatever. And it's don't get me wrong, the dollar amount is obviously practically important for us here who have to pay our bills with this kind of system. But like Jesus said, like the widow at the temple, if you got a penny and you give the penny, that is just an enormous spiritual act. And if you got a gazillion pennies and you give half of your gazillion pennies to what God's doing, that is also enormous. They are both equally as enormous on sort of this transcendent level. And, you know, obviously for us, it makes a big deal when people produce the show. But we hear it all the time from producers, and we hear it all the time from people who have been able to step outside of kind of the Scrooge McDuck or the Ebenezer Scrooge sort of mentality of, you know, every penny is power, and to let a penny go is giving away your power type of thing. It's just truly an amazing thing. And without, you know, without God, and without the benefit of being simply pilgrims, you know, being simply travelers in this world, that wants the, you know, this world and the ideologies of this world, they want to portray themselves as permanent and immovable and all powerful. But, you know, in Christ, we understand we're just hanging out here for a second. And so everything takes on an entirely different dimension. So, you know, don't ever feel weird if you got to produce the show with $1. Don't ever feel weird if you are called to produce the show at $10,000, whatever. It's just an amazing thing that God's done with this podcast. Just as a, I don't want to ramble, but, you know, as an end of the year sort of statement about, once again, how grateful we are that we get to do this. And coming from our meager backgrounds at being sort of kicked out of doing our podcast with church equipment because it wasn't kingdom work, you know?
Right.
Not that money is what makes something kingdom work or not kingdom work, but it is strictly a miracle that this show in particular is able to continue on the value for value model, not having to bend the knee one time to some sort of economic force that would be used to coerce us into changing our message or blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So thank you to all the producers with your time, your talent, or your treasure. It's just all incredible.
Yep. I agree. I second all of that.
Okay, good. We did have, and this is the funny thing, this is so opposite of the whole history of the value for value model of our long history here. We had, how many was this? Is at least a dozen, maybe more. Executive producers over the 2 weeks. And we got 12 regular producer.
What?
One producer in 2 weeks under the executive producer amount. I'm not even complaining. I'm just
I think we clearly the show is demonstrating the have-yots and have-nots right now, because
that's what I'm saying. Like, this is like, okay, just for a second. I guess that kind of goes to what I was saying earlier. It used to be, you know, back in the day when Face Like the Sun channel hadn't got kicked off yet and everything was great. We were shooting into the atmosphere. We would have like 30 producers, you know, in the regular producer amount, under $100 in one episode. Be like 30 of them. It'd be great. It took a long time to do those producer segments. And we would, you know, have 1 or 2 executive producers. To come to a point at the end of 2025 where we have 1 regular producer in 2 weeks and 12 or 13 executive producers is reflective of God putting his people in positions to, you know, to resource and participate in the work he needs done, even in times where, yeah, it's harder for somebody maybe to come in with $10 or $5. But, you know, God has people in places that make it possible to keep going. It's just astonishing to me. I don't know, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It's all a miracle to us. This little experiment that we kickstarted initially in 2012, and then, you know, this particular podcast in 2016. The fact that we're going into our 10th year of News Talk is actually kind of crazy, you know, just based on the circumstances of the world, I guess, but also just you and I, Basil, you know, fumbling along, trying to put together a podcast once a week, a half-hour show once a week to start, and then multiple times for multiple hours, you know, since COVID and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty. I don't know. It's a blessing. Praise God for all of it, because it's not possible without him.
Yeah. Before I move on to our one very wonderful producer, we had one more executive producer come in during the show here. I don't want to thank them because it's the last show of the year. I don't want to push them off. We have executive producer Trapper Guy Tom.
Trapper Guy Tom.
Trapper Guy Tom. Thank you
Is
very
this
much.
like? Oh no, this is not like trap music. This is
no.
like
I think he's a trapper.
Right?
Like he's out in the wilderness.
Is he the Alaska guy? The guy who traps animals, and he messages.
Maybe the Alaska guy. I think I have a text message from him that I can read later. But Trapper Guy Tom says, what does he say? He comes in for a nice round number. Thank you, Trapper Guy Tom. He says, been mooching since 2016. Took almost 10 years. Weird. Just in light of that, you just literally pointed out this fact. Been mooching since 2016. Took almost 10 years, but better late than never. God bless your ministry from the great corrupt state of AK. That's Alaska, right?
Yep.
Where's that Arkansas?
What? Hold on. Wait, hold on.
AK?
I think Arkansas. Yeah, you know what? This is I said a joke about this the other day, that the people who had to come up with the acronyms for the states, you know, they thought it was a really easy job, and then they realized that it's going to be very hard to do. I believe Alaska is AK, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that.
That would make sense. I think Trapper Guy Tom.
AR is Arkansas, right? That makes sense. Yeah. AR is Arkansas. AK is Alaska. Yep, AK is Alaska. We got it.
AK. Okay. Trapper Guy Tom from Alaska coming in supporting the show. Executive producer. He says, your brother in Christ, Trapper Guy Tom. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Trapper Guy Tom.
Okay, that concludes the list of executive producers as of this moment. And we got a producer who came in under the executive producer amount, but still very generous. We've got producer Michael B comes in.
Michael B. Thank you, Michael B.
Yeah. And Michael B comes in for $77.77.
Ooh, that's almost an executive producership right there.
It was a generous producership.
Wow.
Oh gosh, my VR turned off. There we go. Thank you very much, producer Michael B. I didn't see a note. If you did leave one and I missed it, please excuse me. Bring it to my attention. I'll bring it to the show. But of course, last but not least, we've got Cage Rattler Coffee coming in, supporting the show. Go get it. CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
That's right. Go to Cage Rattler Coffee, friends. This is coffee created by Canarians, procured from around the world by Canarians, roasted in small batches by another Canarian, shipped, made available to you, Canarians. It's a beautiful example of sort of the parallel economy. Why would you get your coffee from a corporation that hates you and wants to poison you and all the other bad stuff? That's why you go to CageRattlerCoffee.com, get the coffee, best coffee in the world. That's what I've been told. And in fact, that is my personal opinion. I drink it every day. Gons drinks it every day. And a portion of every bag sold goes to support the show. They did pop off with their Coffee of the Month subscription earlier this month, so you can get in on that little subscription, get your coffee every month coming in, but you can also collect them all. We got beans from Nicaragua and Costa Rica, and let's see, there's some new beans we'll get into in a second. It's from all over the place. Get your dark roast, your Nephilim Hunter dark roast, your Emu Wrangler medium roast, all sorts of great stuff. I got a note here. Let's see here. Let me make an announcement that the beans that were in the supply drop. Oh yeah, a sample of some beans got sent out to the supply droppers, our little test subjects. Let's see here. The beans that were in the supply drop and December subscription are now available on CageRattlerCoffee.com. They are new Honduras bean from Comayagua region. It's a medium Emu Wrangler roast with a flavor profile of cocoa powder, praline, brown spice, hazelnut, and red apple. Red apple.
Red apple.
Red apple. January's subscription will be a dark Nephilim Hunter roast from the Jaén region of northern Peru. It would make a wonderful espresso with a flavor profile of dark chocolate, almond, and a hint of orange. It's a personal favorite of mine, says this Canarian giving me this announcement.
Nice.
There you go. We got new stuff going in. The coffee that went out with the supply drop and the December subscription is now available for purchase. CageRattlerCoffee.com. Go get it. Of course, a portion of every bag sale goes to support the show. So especially for those who maybe have a hard time either financially or just, bringing themselves to send money to something they don't have to, you can support the show by getting this coffee. I recommend getting on the subscription thing too, because that's very helpful. And on a side note, to those who are in the Canary Cry T-shirt Council, Sir Ike says I should be getting the shirts this week with plans to ship them out later this week with Christmas and New Year's. I haven't had a chance. Okay, so shirts are going out soon. Shirts are going out soon, folks. So keep an eye on the mailbox. Thank you, CageRattlerCoffee.com. And we have some people who come in under $7.77. We'll save them for next episode. And they are on streaks. Appreciate you, streakers. I got your streak written down here. God bless you all. You can support the show by going to canarycry.support. If you didn't know, go check it out. Lots of options and suggestions. But of course, you just choose whatever the show means to you. And thank you, everybody, for making it a wonderful end of the year. We survived 2025.
Yes, we did. We are not quite done, though. There is one more thing we have to do before we leave, and that is to highlight some art. And you can go to canarycry.art to submit your artwork, whether it's a drawing or sometimes you can send music, MP3, something like that. We have a few to share with you. Actually, interestingly enough, all of these come from very young Canarians.
Yes.
So this is exciting. The first piece we have here is let me get this full screen so we get the full effect of the whole thing here. This is coming from Cassius and Lola. And we have a note here. Hello, guys. Cassius made the first picture. Basil drinking his horse electrolytes. There he is on the bottom left there. And Gons fighting off evil spirits in the form of quote unquote aliens. I can do all things to Christ through Christ who gives me strength. Philippians 4:13. Amen to that. This is awesome. I like it. Do you want to describe it for?
Amen. This is great. So on the left, you got me wearing a cool green shirt, drinking my horse electrolytes. From the waist down, I have turned into a horse.
I was going to say you're a hybrid. You are a centaur.
Yes, a centaur Basil. Very cool. Got the googly eyes there. Gons is flying through the air, holding his sword as he attacks some spooky-looking demons or monsters of some kind. They got tentacles. They got teeth. They got all the spooky things. But Sensei Gons is going at it. Going to take care of that. I like your mustache, Gons.
Yeah,
that's a good look. You should do a big mustache like that.
Is that a handlebar? Like a semi-handlebar?
It's like a fireman mustache there.
Fireman mustache.
And up in the sky, we've got some beautiful clouds with some holy rays coming down, blessing us as we destroy the forces of darkness. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Did this one was Cassius or Lola, or do we know?
This one was Cassius. Yeah, it's a Cassius drawing. We do have the Lola drawing as well, and this is Lola's scripture of the day, Matthew 5:3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Oh, very good. And we've got some heart stickers and some different colors coloring in the words here. Beautifully done, Cassius and Lola. Thank you very much for producing the show.
Absolutely. Let me finish the note here. It's a special shout out to our dad, Sean S., who will be listening to this at work. It says tonight, and I know this came in a little bit ago, so he may not be listening tonight, but wherever you are listening, Sean S., shout out from your family. And it says, we love you. And also shout out to our friends, Modern Day Bible Study and FERF, Sending love and prayers to you guys and all the fellow Canarians. Thanks, Basil and Gons. You guys are awesome. Well, you're awesome, Cassius and Lola and Parent and everybody mentioned here. Appreciate you all.
Yes,
Thank you for the
believe
art. It's amazing.
yes, Sean and Courtney. Yes, I believe. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you. Okay, we have one more piece here, and this one is from let's see. Oh, Aloha.
Aloha.
Has given us a piece. She age 10. And this is
Aloha.
another interesting. This maybe, you know, we did the story about the bunker, the Fallout story. I think this is depicting you in the show, Basil. I don't think Aloha necessarily knew that they were drawing this, but very interesting. It's almost like you're in a bunker under the ground.
Prophetic,
Why
yes.
don't you describe
Is
it
that
here?
the end of the note there?
There is no note. So
Okay. So it
yeah.
starts, says by Aloha up there on the
Yes.
top. And we get a
Yes.
beautiful scene. The sun is shining, bees are flying, butterflies are there. We got some beautiful clouds, some beautiful flowers. This flower's got some thorns on it, but it's looking nice and fun. And then you got the ground right there with some grass on it. But then under the ground, you can see that someone has created just a beautiful bunker. You've got reinforced brick walls here. You can see the dirt being nice and protective. And beneath these reinforced concrete walls, you've got Basil, got my big googly eyes here. I've got a beautiful kitchenette down here in the bunker with the oven and the sink and the clock. Let's see what time is it. It's about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the bunker down there. What do we got? A nice desk with a lamp, and we got a cool
Is that a
chair.
toilet? That's a chair. Okay.
Might be a toilet. It looks like maybe like a podcasting setup. It's either a podcasting setup or perhaps a toilet. Both are important in a bunker. You need both. I love this. I think this is a prophetic from the art of babes, speaking
The
God's
Fallout
will.
reality show
Yeah,
into existence.
you need to get on the Fallout Bunker reality show, and I can really show the people what it's like to survive in a bunker. Thank you very much, Aloha. This is beautiful.
Thank
Love it. And yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll get to see it for real.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I love that the artists are young, and before you know it, they're going to be, adults doing adult things. And then they'll say, "Hey, we listened to your show." Assuming we'll be around at that point, we'll be old and gray, Basil. But it's already been interesting doing this for as long as we have to hear people say, "Hey, I was in high school when I get people say I was in high school when I watched Age of Deceit or whatever," and it's like, wow, that's crazy. And now you're an adult with children and doing things that actually matter in the world. So,
yep.
It's all under God's prerogative. We just all we do is hit the go button here and yell.
I'm looking at a message here, Gons. Did we check the speak pipe today?
I did earlier. Yeah, is there a new one?
Somebody said, this Noman Prunte says he sent a speak pipe.
Oh yeah, a week ago. Yeah, I see it here. Should we play it?
Are we able to play that? Might as well.
Yep. Let's do it. Here's Noman Prunte with the message.
Noman Prunte here. This is Renaissance by Death. Stephen, full of power, did great wonders. Some of those of the synagogue rose up and disputed, but could not stand against the spirit of wisdom. Then they secretly instigated men, saying they had heard him blaspheme, and they stirred up the people to seize him. He was brought before the council. False witnesses were set to accuse him. The high priest said, "Are these things so?" Stephen's reply was to preach a sermon, naming them uncircumcised hearts, stiff-necked people resisting the Spirit. As the fathers, so were the sons, betrayers and murderers of prophets, receivers, but not law keepers. Now when they had heard these things, they were enraged. The Holy Spirit filled Stephen. Gazing into heaven, he saw glory, Jesus standing at God's right hand. They cried out loudly and stopped up their ears. Rushing together at Stephen, outside the city he was cast and stoned. Garments laid at the feet of Saul. As they were stoning Stephen, he called out, "Lord Jesus, receive my spirit." Falling to his knees, he cried out loudly, "Do not hold this sin against them." And when he had said this, he fell asleep, his blood falling on fertile soil.
Very nice.
There you
Thank
go. Beautiful.
Prunte. Yeah, very important. Yeah. Oh, and if anybody's wondering, you can leave us a voice message. You can say whatever you want. You can send it if it's a private message to us, make sure to tell us at the very beginning. Say, don't put this on the air, and you can tell us whatever you want. Or you can sing us a song. You can make an announcement. You can ask us questions. You go to canarycrynewstalk.com. You'll see a green tab on the bottom or the right-hand side of the webpage. Click on that, and you can leave us a 90-second message with whatever you want. That's also where we're directing all hate mail, because we want to play it on the air so your mother can hear the things you have to say. And I can send it to your pastor. But there you go. Send us a voice message, and we'd love to play it on the show or not. Either way, whatever you want. It kind of got left off the pitch list every episode. So I think a lot of people don't think about it often, but there you go. You can do that whenever you want. 24 hours a day, works on any device. Okay, so you don't need some special setup. Okay. Other than that, I'm just going to give a shout out to everybody on the Canary Cry text message alert system. If you're not on the text message alert system, you should get on the text message alert system. It's the only way to actually stay connected with us, because all of the platforms, they are trying actively to disconnect you, not just from us, but from the whole community here, because it makes you too powerful, too resilient, and too durable to the machinations of the dark forces of this world. So just to get on the list, all you got to do is text the word canary, just the word canary, Canary, to 877-740-3226. Again, that's canary to 877-740-3226. And you'll get a notification when we go live, sent straight to your phone. Fun part is you can text us back at that number. I read them. Sometimes I read them on the show. I read them all. And I can't carry on a conversation with you. I can't text you back. It's very expensive for us to do that. But we got a couple, at least one here. I'll read at least one. Get that producer jingle ready, Gons, if you can. I'm going to put us back on this. Let's go like that. Yeah.
Are we good to go now?
Hit the producers.
Let's do it.
Producers, assemble!
This is from Sir Tristan. He says, Sir Tristan here. I just want to thank the show and the producers. Today, the charges have been officially dropped, and I can go home to be with my family tonight. The Canary Cry Clubhouse episode, I believe it was the last one. Man, it was just a great grip of callers, and Sir Tristan shared a little bit about what's going on in his life, and we just spoke, spoke words of life over his situation, and of course called the producers and kept them in our prayers, and very happy to hear that things have mellowed out and the Lord's brought you and your family through this situation. So God bless you, Sir Tristan. If anybody wants to know more, you can just go listen to, I believe it was the last Canary Cry Clubhouse episode. So thank you for the update, Sir Tristan. God bless you, buddy.
God bless you. Praying for you.
Not a whole lot of texts actually over the Sam texted and said, I'm here, and then sent another message and says, please forward this to my son for me, please. See, that's the fun part about having our message in your our number in your phone. You can text us accidentally when you mean to text somebody else. Okay, yeah, thank you to everybody who's texted us over the years. We've had that text message alert system since 2022. That's crazy. But there you go.
It's been that long already.
Yeah, it's weird. Text the word canary to 877-740-3226. Send us a message. Say hi.
Yep.
And other than that, It's late over here. I think I'm ready to land the plane. Are you ready to land the plane?
Yeah,
I
don't think so. I think we've covered everything.
So. Okay, last episode of the year, everybody. Thanks for being here. We will be back on January 5th. So sit tight, stay sane, have a very safe new year. And other than that, I want to thank some producers who help us out with their time, of course, starting with the one, the only, the time stamper.
The time stampers.
Time stamp. It's hard work. Time stamp.
Yes, it's always Jade Bouncerson right
Jade
now.
Bouncerson, appreciate
In fact,
that.
she's all over it today. It looks like she's in there doing the timestamps already for this episode. So
Look at her
thank you.
go. She's a champion.
She's
And of
tuning in
course,
live.
we're always going to put out the call. If anybody feels like they want to get involved, they want to produce the show, they want to put some value back in, they want to become part of the team, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com if you want to become a time stamper. It's easy. It's fun. And if you're watching the show live, it doesn't take any extra time than you would spend watching the show anyway. So send us an email. We'll hook you up with Jade Bouncerson. She's a wonderful person, and you'll be helping us out quite a bit. Thank you to Jam. He heads up Telegram. He also hits us with links, things like that. Thank you, Adam42. Leads the Discord channel. If you're a Telegram person or a Discord person, you can join the communities there. All you got to do is go to canarycry.party and click on the invite links that are available at that little place. Thank you to Joe for all the feedback. Thank you to Clank for everything you do, Clank. You're the man, Clank. And of course, Sir Ike doing so many things for us. We couldn't even enumerate them in this episode. But also thank God for you, dear listener, because you always got to remember, in the spirit of giving, in the season of giving, which for us is every season and every day, you got to share the show. You got to share the show with your friends, your family. Don't even spend money on Christmas presents or I guess New Year's presents or anything. All you got to do is give them this podcast. It'll change their life. It'll make them feel seen. It'll give them a community that they didn't think was possible. So share the show however you need to do that. Put in Morse code, do smoke signals, whatever. I don't care. Just share the show with those who you know need the show. We like to call it rattling cages, and all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted. I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gonz, you got any last words?
Thank you for another year. All the producers out there, we appreciate you. And looking forward to 2026. 2025 was kind of crazy. I think 2026 is going to be crazier.
All going to be different. That's why you want to stick around, stay connected, don't get lost, everybody. And of course, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Whee!
If you're working alone, wear a mask. The mask is not for you. It's to protect the people you care about. We are a global production company. I'm not capable of hatred.
I'll keep you warm and safe, and my people too.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Armageddon's on the way. Do not come back, you Nazi psychopath.
Here's the thing.
We, especially recently, the past few months, it seems as if this show is in a period of reaping what we've sown for a while.
The world is at risk of a nuclear Armageddon.
Armageddon's on the way. We've come to a point in society where pretty much everything that we've been talking about has gone from the realm of crazy conspiracy theory or whatever to real life. Where do we even go from here?
There's a giant storm coming.
We are in a strange season with even some of the crazier things we've said over the years coming into reality.
People who know what's going on and see the absurdity, and then people that are completely within that bubble.
Give me a break.
Give me a break.
Give me a break.
Give me a break.
Break. Give me a break. Break.
Give me a break.
One of you rowing out there every day, crashing a glass ceiling explosion? All it had this here glass ceiling.
Rockets.
Explosion?
Someone could be dying.
You ever had a boom of a glass ceiling?
Rocket.
Explosion?
You little rascal. I am so hot.
You're so hot.
I'm... God. I am so hot. So hot. Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
They're going to probably try and rattle her cage a little bit more.
Canary Crime News Talk, man, what's going on? Gotta turn it on, shows coming on live. VPN on when I'm going online. Anonymity, man, cryptocurrency. We got everything you need, get it 3 times a week. Jesus Christ the King, let the Holy Spirit speak. Battle in the cage, gotta set the captive free. Value for value, to me it's not free. Wish I had a longer streak, but this creativity, go fulfill the 3 T's. That's the time, choose your talent. Give it right back, put it right back in balance. Not right or left, we not with the distractions. Catastrophes are the classic techniques, all attacks of the enemy. Getting defeated, underneath the feet of Jesus. Just believe us, media is trying to deceive you. Gotta read between the lines till you see through the disguise. It's a slit reptilian eye sitting on top of the pyramid. Got a myriad of topics, might be on a watch list. RIP face like the sun, but you cannot stop this. Like the Lord's gonna come stop this beast system and this infinite wisdom. Yeah, when the time is right, yeah, we're gonna take flight like a thief in the night. So I gotta get it right. I gotta repent and sit patient. Waiting for supply drop. Google eyes don't blink, man. I need some eye drops. Google mind deep thinking for the AI thoughts. Yeah, Baz gons. You know what's going on. Baz gons. Never Crime News Talk, man, what's going on. Baz gons. You know what's going on. Baz gons. Never Crime News Talk, man, what's going on.
Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. I'm happy to circle back. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back on that one. Circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Son of a beastie.